BBC News at 7 o'clock. This is Adam Porter. The Ukrainian authorities say 5 people have been killed in a Russian attack on the main television tower in the capital, Kiev. Social media footage showed smoke billowing up from the steel tower, and some broadcasts were taken off air. Ukrainian officials have warned the latest attacks as night falls demonstrate President Putin's intent to lay siege to his targets. Satellite images show a huge Russian convoy heading towards Kiev. Our chief international correspondent Lise Doucette is in the capital, monitoring its progress.
The big question is, how soon will it actually come right to the edge of the city? But this is the 6th day of Russia's invasion, and we see not just that armoured convoy, but there's been the attack close to the TV tower. And then there's this very serious warning from the Russian defense minister that people should move away from key security installations, both people who work in those buildings, but also people in the surrounding area. So you can sense the mounting anxiety here.
Earlier, Ukraine's President Zelensky accused Russia of perpetrating a war crime by launching cruise missile strikes into the centre of the eastern city of Kharkiv. The Kremlin denies it's targeted civilians and insists sanctions won't make it change course. The former Chief of the Defence Staff, Lord Richards, has suggested Western leaders may need to reconsider their approach and think in a very grown-up way about whether Ukraine will be able to defend itself in a sustained conflict with Russia.
Are we confident at the end of the day that the Ukrainians will win? My admiration for their courage knows no limits, believe me, and I hope very much that they will, but my soldierly instincts and knowledge suggests that at the end of the day, the Russians will win. And in the meanwhile, is all that sacrifice going to have been worth it?
Dr. Galina Maestrak, who's from Kiev, has fled west with hundreds of thousands of others. She's concerned that essential supplies will run low and says Western allies need to act now to ensure they're available in the coming days.
I know that water is still, power is still possible, and also in some regions, and also medications in the hospitals. But the time is very limited. Because of bombing every day. And I think that to protect humanitarian catastrophe, we need to think about food and about medication.
Other news, and MPs are to receive a pay increase of just over £2,200 next month, taking their basic salary above £84,000. Boris Johnson and the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer had both called for a pay freeze, but the independent body which decides ruled MPs needed to be paid fairly for their work. Buckingham Palace says the Queen is back at work and has conducted 2 virtual engagements after recovering from COVID-19. She carried out audiences with foreign diplomats this morning. And the weather, dry in Scotland, rain in most of northern England and Northern Ireland. BBC News, it's 3 minutes past 7.
On BBC One.
I'll get this business done, and then no more.
The final series.
You consistently fail to understand your own limitations.
This is my mission, and I will have no limitations.
Take a good look, Tom, because one of us isn't going to be here for long. And you're still looking for trouble big enough to kill you.
One last deal to be done, then my Peaky Blinders rest.
Peaky Blinders continues this Sunday at 9 on BBC One and iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
It's the 5th round of the FA Cup, and Middlesbrough are hoping for another upset, this time against Tottenham.
And he balloons this one over the top. Manchester United are out of the FA Cup. Middlesbrough are going through to the 5th round.
Can Peterborough do the unthinkable against Manchester City and reach the last 8?
They're a top team at night. They're one of the best teams in the world at this moment in time. So amazing for the players to go and test themselves against some of the Man City players tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing game for everybody, and we're looking forward to it.
And in the Premier League, Burnley can climb out of the bottom 3 if they avoid defeat against Leicester.
Rodriguez into the box. Still Rodriguez must score. Does score for Burnley. Madison lets one fly, and what a goal that is. What a quality strike from Madison.
From BBC Sport, this is 5 Live Sport.
Busy night of football then, 2 FA Cup ties. Our commentary is 3 FA Cup ties, Middlesbrough against Tottenham from 5 to 8. Also in the Cup, Peterborough, Manchester City and Crystal Palace against Stoke. Big Premier League game this evening as well. 7:45 kick-off, Burnley against Leicester. That's on Sports Extra. If you want to listen to that, we'll go to Turf Moor shortly. And there are games in the Scottish Championship and also in the Championship in England and League One and League Two. So we'll bring you our usual goal service as well this Tuesday evening on 5 Live. Let's start, though, with our commentary game at the Riverside and find out if the teams have made more changes than Ian Dennis has had pancakes.
Well, I tell you what, the team news is quite simple in that respect, Mark, because Tottenham are unchanged from the side that dismantled Leeds United, which tells you everything about how seriously Antonio Conte's taking this competition. So Lloris is in goal, back three of Romero, Dyer, Davis, Doherty and Sessegnon on the wing-backs, Højbjerg and Winks in the centre of midfield, and then Son, Kulusevski and Kane. And just the one change from Middlesbrough. Crooks is back from suspension for Lisa Leakey. So Lumley is in goal, a back three of Dyke, Steele, Fry and McNair, Jones and Taylor, the wing-backs right and left respectively. Marcus Tavernier, Howson and Crooks with Watmore and Sporer up front.
You've definitely had more pancakes than one today, haven't you?
I actually haven't had one, would you believe?
Have you not?
No. I've got to host a dinner on Sunday and I've got to try and get into my dinner jacket. So I'm on a late fitness drive this week to shed a few pounds.
Do you think you may have left that slightly late?
Possibly, yeah.
Rob Green, England goalkeeper, alongside Ian. Evening, Rob.
Evening, Mark.
Both teams going for this then, on the basis of on the basis of the team news.
Yeah, I think you're looking at Spurs, and they were the one with the options to change it, but only limited in terms of what they actually. You're looking at the bench in terms of you got Bergwijn, an attacking option, and beyond that, defensive options really. So, and then academy players, much like they were on Saturday. So. Beyond that, you're looking at Conte, you're looking for the consistency that he's craving, that he's losing his mind over at times after recent games, and then you're looking for who can I rely on, how can I get that performance, that consistent performance. So until they get that right, I don't think he'll be making many changes.
No, but I suppose both managers, if they wanted to, might have thrown some more kids in, particularly, given where Middlesbrough are and what Middlesbrough are hoping to achieve league-wise by the end of this season, which I would imagine is a playoff spot at the very least. So if they wanted to, they could have, both of them, thrown a few more kids in.
Yeah, and you look at Middlesbrough and how they've performed in recent games as well, and Chris Wilder saying it that they give. They're inconsistent within games. They're giving teams a head start. So he's looking for that as well. He's only, he's less than 20 games into his tenure here. So I think it's 18 games. And they've had a good start, but he's trying to instill principles, a style, an identity of how they're going to play. And I think that's still a work in progress.
And also Andy Reid, who's also with us, former Sunderland and Tottenham midfield, he's going to be doing the Burnley-Leicester game for us this evening. Also, Andy, but both teams will feel that they want to get some momentum here.
Yeah, well, listen, I think momentum's really, really important. You want to try and build on the good form, on the couple of little gains that you've got recently, and try and take it forward and finish the season strong. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I think if you see Tottenham, they're so inconsistent. Sometimes they put in absolutely fantastic performances, and you think that they look like a real threat in the league, and then other times they go out and they're just not at it at all. So I think that's what Conte will be looking from a Tottenham perspective: a little bit of momentum, a little bit of consistency. There's quality in there. There's no doubt about that, but it's just, can they pull the whole package together?
Plenty more on Middlesbrough Tottenham ahead of kick-off at 7:45. You can watch this on BBC television this evening as well. It's on BBC One and on the iPlayer. You'll hear from Chris Wilder a little later on 5 Live Sport. The first FA Cup tie to get underway this evening is the one at Peterborough. Manchester City are their visitors. 7:15 kick-off, this one for John Murray.
Yes, and as expected, Alexander Zinchenko is in what is a very strong City team for this tie. And not only is he in the team, the Ukrainian is named as captain of Manchester City tonight. He'll lead the team out. He was offered the armband by Fernandinho, the club captain, as a gesture of solidarity and support to his teammate. And the side that he captains, as I say, is a strong one, even though there are 6 changes from the weekend. Kyle Walker suspended. I thought there might be a sprinkling of youngsters for this one as well, for this City team. But apart from substitute goalkeeper Kieran Slicker, it is all the big names. So the team is Ederson, Cancelo, Firmino, Diaz, Ake and Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Foden, Gundogan, Mahrez, Jesus and Grealish. It is top of the league against bottom of the Championship. Peterborough's only 2 wins in their last 13 matches have been in the Cup. They're without their captain, Oliver Norburn, who's suspended. Callum Morton, their striker's cup-tied. Grant McCann's made 6 changes, perhaps with their next league match in his mind. That's on Friday night at Inform Huddersfield. So, Mark, I can see why you said an upset was unthinkable in the introduction.
Well, yes, I mean, it would be. I mean, even though it's Championship against Premier League, John, it would be one of the great shocks, wouldn't it?
I honestly, Mark, I cannot see it happening. And I know how often do we come to cup ties, FA Cup ties, thinking that, and then we are surprised. But I think this one tonight, and I think another aspect of this tonight, the fact that Peterborough are so badly out of form in the Championship, the fact that Manchester City are what they are. But the other factor is, I think Manchester City had to sit and watch while those other two, Chelsea and Liverpool, played out that cup final on Sunday. Liverpool lifted a trophy, and I think that will have steeled them even further for this tonight. And just now, Mark, the teams are coming out, and Alexander Zinchenko, named as captain for the night, is walking out, and he's shoulder to shoulder with the Peterborough captain Frankie Kent, and between them they are carrying a big Ukrainian flag. And now they walk towards the where the officials are, towards Andy Madley, the referee, and they turn, and the two of them stand, and you can hear the support. There is a real warmth in that from the crowd here, from both sets of supporters, as there was actually as well when Alexander Zinchenko's name was read out before the match.
Rob Green and Andy Reid are still with us. Rob, John makes a good point, doesn't he, about Manchester City watching Liverpool and Chelsea on Sunday. You sense that City won't, and we discussed this a little bit on the Monday Night Club last night, City won't settle until they've got a possible treble on the cards, and they'll feel that Liverpool won't settle until they've got a possible quadruple on the cards. There won't be, but no game will be taken lightly between now and the end of the season, whatever the competition.
No, they're relentless, aren't they? Both managers are relentless in their attitude towards it. I think the only surprise that I had on the teams on Sunday was Kelleher played, and wow, he did magnificently well, didn't he? So that was that. But you're looking at both sides, and you're looking at both managers, the way they go about things, and yeah, you're looking at the legacies that they are, and they're bigger than resting them for one particular competition. So, like you say, no great surprise.
No, and it's also, Andy, a flexing of the strength in depth of senior players, not the young players. We saw it with Liverpool again on Sunday, and how their strength in depth has improved. City doing exactly the same this evening. Or maybe Andy isn't there at the moment. We'll try and get Andy back in a moment. But that's the other thing, Rob, isn't it? That strength in depth.
I wasn't listening either, Chappers.
So as soon as you finish answering a question, you
must be your voice,
wait for your next
it's
one.
your voice. You just switch off. No, I go into a dream. No, I think you're looking at the Man City side, and they haven't named a full bench. So that's something that they say. They've got all these wonderful talents that they've got in the academy that they talk about. Well, I think that's a real shame. That's one thing. And look at this Spurs side here tonight. They've got a few academy players on the bench. Just give them a go, give them a chance. Something for the experience, I think. And I don't know whether that answers your question, but that's my rant over.
That was perfect. But I'm going to keep talking to you because we still don't have Andy. So listen to the next one. What did Peterborough do tonight?
I think they're going to struggle. I think there's not an answer, is there, that there's any great way, shape or form. One thing that they can do is learn, maybe, if they've got the pace to break like Spurs did last weekend, do that. But Manchester City are regrouped, and I think it's just one that you turn around and say, the problem with playing Manchester City, you look at the back line that you've got. If you play 5 at the back, you're hemmed in because the wing backs can't get out. You can't get out to the wide men because they're so wide. You certainly can't play 4 at the back. You end up playing 6 at the back as one of the weakened sides, and then or the lower ranked teams, and then you just can't get out. So I think you just got to dig in for as long as you can if you're Peterborough.
Are you there, Andy, now?
I hope so. Am I?
There we go. There you are. There we go. He spoke pre-match to Guardiola about Jack Grealish, and he basically said that he needs to stop listening to public opinion, and went on to say the statistics are better or similar to Aston Villa in terms of ball contact. We didn't buy him to score 45 goals. He doesn't have that quality. He has another one. Players today play for the statistics, but this is the biggest mistake they can do. Jack is playing well. If he wasn't, I would tell him.
I think there's a little bit of probably picking him up a little bit and kind of not hanging him out to dry, sticking up for him. I don't think he's performed as well as he would like. I don't think he's having the impact that he would have liked, but as probably all good managers do, they protect their players. I'm not overly concerned about it from a Manchester City perspective, because I do think he's a fantastic player and he will come good. He's probably settling into his surroundings, a different way of playing. He's come from a club where he was the big fish all the time, and he was the one that the team looked to for every single bit, every single move. He was that linchpin of the Aston Villa side. Now it's different coming in and you're working with top players where everything doesn't go through you, and he has to adjust to that as well. I do think that he'll come good. I don't think they'll have any issues with him, but they'll want that to kind of turn around and for him to start putting in them match-winning performances as quickly as possible.
I think as well, chap, as I was listening this time, I think you look at that and you say, I think, look, Pep has different roles for different players at different times, and Jack Grealish's role has a large portion of this season is to go high, go wide, and then when he gets it, draw players and feed it back to the player behind, to the fullback. And you're looking at the fullback as one of the best fullbacks in the world to create the chance. That's all the way that they're playing. We had a period last season where you're looking at Gundogan and you're saying, oh, he's banging form, he's playing brilliantly. He had a different role to what he had before. Now Bernardo Silva's got a different role and he's playing brilliantly well. It's just how he sees the roles within the teams at certain points in the time. Jack at the moment is a bit of a support role.
You made a noise, John, that suggested either something happened or you may have banged your knee on your desk.
The goalkeeper, the Peterborough goalkeeper, Stephen Bender, cleared the ball and he cleared it into Gabriel Jesus, and the ball bounced back goalwards and narrowly wide. So that was the reason for my alarm.
So that's already underway. Middlesbrough Tottenham's 5-8. The other FA Cup fifth round match is Crystal Palace against Stoke. This one's a 7:30 kickoff. You can watch it on the red button as well if you want. John Southall's at Selhurst.
You can. A very good evening, Mark. It is a filthy night in South London, but a big prize in front of these two sides, a place in the quarter-final, and it looks a really good opportunity this for Palace. They are comfortably in 11th in the Premier League, and they can really give the FA Cup a go. Patrick Vieira, who won this 5 times as a player, actually the last time he won it was for Man City against Stoke back in 2011. He's made 5 changes, but it is still a strong 11. In come Teo Adaramola for his full debut, Czech Kyoto, Will Hughes, Jordan Ayew and Jean-Philippe Mateta for Mitchell, Gallagher, Milivojevic, MacArthur and Schlupp. As for Stoke City, well, they're on the slide. No wins in 4, 15th in the Championship, and on the 20th of November, they were 4th in the Championship. Since then, they've won just 3 league games. When you look at the names on paper, it does suggest they should be doing better than they are. 4 changes they've made. Chester, Timon, Soyers and Madja come in for the cup-tied Jagielka and Baker, plus the suspended Fox and Jacob Brown.
They really have, Andy Reid, haven't they, Stoke, fallen like a stone?
Yeah, they have, and it's a little bit of a shame because they have been, with Michael O'Neill in there, they've done well. They've turned their fortunes around. He seems to have got a lot of the players out that he wanted, started to kind of build his own squad, played some good stuff at times, but they started to struggle in recent times. They started to fall away from that playoff picture, and there's a lot of teams in and around there which is making it difficult for them. Maybe tonight this might be a welcome distraction for them in the Cup. It might be a chance for them to go and maybe take the shackles off and have a little bit of go at Crystal Palace, because they'll probably feel that they can go there and get a result. Palace are a good side. They've got some good players, we know that, but I do think it's a game that they'll feel that they can go and get something.
Let's focus on the game that you are at, Andy. Tom Gale alongside you. Burnley against Leicester. You can listen to this on Sports Extra. 7:45 kickoff in the Premier League. Tom, the team news.
Well, a draw, Mark, would see Burnley move out of the bottom 3 on goal difference. Interestingly, they'll be replaced by Everton, but a win takes them up as high as 15, something they're capable of proving of. 2 wins in the last 3 for Sean Dyche's side, and he makes 3 changes following Saturday's draw at Palace. In comes Cornet, Westwood and Charlie Taylor. Cork and Rodriguez drop to the bench. Eric Peters' injury rules him out altogether. Visiting Brendan Rodgers, mixed fortunes. He's enjoying his leanest point spell as Leicester boss. No win in his last 5 Premier League games. The big news for them, Jamie Vardy's back for the first time since injuring his hamstring at the end of December, but only fit enough for the bench. So just the one Leicester change from their defeat at Wolves 10 days ago. Harvey Barnes comes in for Ademola Lookman, who drops to the bench.
What are you expecting, Andy, from Burnley in particular this evening?
I'm expecting them to be full of confidence. I'm expecting them to attack the game, to play with a really high tempo, and to really start to put Leicester under pressure. We've seen Leicester in recent weeks have really struggled at the back. There's been lots of gaps there. There've been lots of spaces. The shape has been particularly poor. And this Burnley team at the minute are really, really high in confidence. They've got some really good wins. They're not losing them games that earlier on in the season they were winning. They were losing. They're starting to win them now. They're starting to get them 1-0 wins. Them even getting a couple of goals. I think Weghorst has made a real difference to them. He's come in and I've spoken to some people who work at Burnley, and they're really, really pleased with him. They think that he's probably better than Chris Wood in a lot of respects, and he's made a real impact. So that's turning out to be a great signing for him. I'm expecting him to come in and I think this Burnley side and Sean Dyche, you look at what he's done over they love proving people wrong. They've been written off so many times, and early on in the season, myself included, I thought this might be the season they go down, and all of a sudden they've put themselves in a fantastic position, a really, really good chance of staying up now. They've got some good games coming up that are quite winnable.
They've only had 1 defeat in 5, and that was 1-0 at home to Liverpool, and they were unlucky that night as well. And in fact, Andy, when you look at their goal, their goal difference is only -8. They've only conceded 30, which, Watford below them 47, Norwich 55, Leeds 60. I picked the 3 most extreme examples there of sides around them. But that goal difference of -8 really highlights how close a lot of their games have been this season.
Yeah, and I think it's, if you look at them over the years, they've consistently won games 1-0 or 2-1 or by the odd goal, and I think that's probably what they lacked in the early part of the season. They weren't getting enough goals. They weren't getting enough kind of goals to get them a draw, or enough to nick them that win, and I think in a minute they are, and that's probably why the goal difference isn't so bad, because they don't concede. We know that, but if they can start to make a little bit of a dent in it in terms of scoring the goals now, with Weghorst and Cornet maybe a little bit more of an attacking threat. We know McNeil's got fantastic ability and great delivery from set pieces and from open play. They will feel that they can score goals and hurt teams, and having seen Leicester play quite a few times in the last couple of months, I can really see them troubling the Leicester back four.
By the way, if Burnley win tonight, Everton drop into the bottom 3. Rob, are you still there?
Alive, yes. So
yeah, right. So Everton drop into the bottom 3 if Burnley win, and
yes.
The PGMOL have today apologised. Mike Riley phoned Frank Lampard and Bill Kenwright to apologise for the VAR decision that didn't give them the penalty for Rodri's handball at the weekend.
It's incredible, isn't it? And you're looking at what VAR was seen as, it was sold to the people who weren't having it, they weren't believing it at the start. This is the answer to all the problems. We've still got the same problems. It's still the same people making decisions. They're sat in a booth in Stockley Park rather than on the pitch at the time. So it seems incredible that these mistakes are still happening, but you put it down to it's human error again. And I tell you what, there's still people, there's still referees, and I've been there many times. You complain to the ref, and the best referees, and I don't know whether Andy agrees, but the ones who you turn around and they say, sorry, I just couldn't see it. All that communication is there. Now, you can't have that communication with someone in a booth in Stockley Park, can you?
Yeah, I'm not too sure I would have wanted an apology today, I've got to be honest with you. I think just keep your apology to yourself. It's gone, don't wind me up even more. I think that would be how I would feel about it. An absolutely awful decision. But
the other thing, Andy, sorry, just to jump in, the VAR at Goodison was Chris Kavanagh, and he's your ref tonight, isn't he? at Turf Moor. Now, I mean, I think Mike Riley making that public today, that Everton have received an apology because the VAR ref got it wrong, who is now the referee on the field tonight, involving a game who is a direct relegation rival, only heaps more pressure on Kavanagh, doesn't it?
Yeah, you wouldn't think that it's the best decision to make in light of everything that's happened, to say the least. But I think the referees have to be held accountable, and I don't want to be kind of referee bashing. I have to be honest with you, I was never the biggest fan of referees when I played, and it's really difficult to take some of the decisions that they make. But what do? Do you punish them? Do you suspend them? But there has to be some accountability. I mean, that was a really poor decision. I think anybody sitting at home watching it and seeing the handball, everybody was saying, well, that's a definite penalty, and when it came up no penalty, you're just shaking your head and going, how do you come to that decision? But then you think about the chain of events then after that, and the apology, and like you say, and rightly say as well, Chris Kavanagh taking this game tonight, it doesn't seem like the best decision.
I'm not suggesting take him out of it as a punishment. I'm suggesting surely you take him out of it because it's only human nature to, I would imagine, second guess yourself going into the game tonight.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that you're suggesting it's the punishment, but I'm just talking about accountability for referees. Where do we go with it? And we have seen some kind of taking out of the furling, or maybe giving it a week off, or whatever it may be. How do we try and improve the standard of refereeing? How do we try and pull it all together, pull all the decisions together, the VAR, try and link it in? Because there's too many decisions that aren't quite going right when we, when we were kind of promised that, right, this is going to stop the dodgy decisions, this is going to stop these decisions that might be the difference between somebody getting relegated and somebody staying up. Now, that decision come the end of the season, if you look at where Everton are, Burnley get a win tonight, and I know there's still a long way to go, I totally understand that, but it could be the difference between them staying up and go down, and that's how important it is.
Let's turn our attentions back to our commentary this evening. 5 to 8 kick-off at the Riverside. Middlesbrough against Tottenham. You can watch it on BBC television as well. Since Chris Wilder took over the club in November, they've knocked Manchester United out of the Cup and won their last 7 at home in the Championship. Steve Crossman has been to Middlesbrough's training ground, and as you'll tell, it was a pretty windy afternoon, to chat to Wilder about how he's settled in.
But we've got some talented players. I think we've got a really good balance, and enjoying the way we're playing. I think the supporters are enjoying the way they're playing. In terms of Old Trafford, sold 9,500 tickets in 24 hours, sold out away from home on plenty of occasions, and the Riversiders, we've had some really healthy crowds, and that's what we're trying to do, bring that feel-good factor back to a famous and proud club.
See, this is what happens, Chris, when you have success. You've got about 9,500 Middlesbrough managers now. My wife's not bothered about football. She's texting me about your team selections.
Yeah, just tell her Crooksy was suspended for 10 bookings. It wasn't me leaving him out because he scored 8 or 9 goals. So, listen, I think, from my point of view, the supporters speak the same language as me. So, it's heavily influenced his football in this area. It's a one love, and with that, I want expectation levels to be high, because if it is, we're doing something right and we're winning games of football and playing well. But with that, you get opinions, and we all understand that, but I'm okay with that.
The way you describe the club there, I always feel like you could be describing yourself. It just feels like a perfect fit, Chris Wilder and Middlesbrough.
It was really important after, obviously my departure from my previous club. I wanted to get back working. I had to be patient as well, and I had to make sure that, not just from my point of view, that the football club was a good fit for me, but was I a good fit for Middlesbrough? I believe it was a sensible decision, and a good one. I'm delighted that Steve offered me the opportunity. Everybody knows the history of the football club, and it hasn't always been sunshining. It's had some difficult times as well, but the fabric of the club is working class. It's real, it's honest, it's humble, and from a football point of view, they've produced talented footballers that want to play in the right way, and so that fits all the stuff that I want to implement here.
You can hear more from Wilder on a special Football Daily podcast called All About Middlesbrough. That's on BBC Sounds now. Ian Dennis and Rob Green, your commentary team at the Riverside. Andy Reid at Turf Moor for the Premier League game this evening between Burnley and Leicester. It does seem at the moment, doesn't it, Ian, a perfect fit, this?
Yeah, I think it is the perfect fit, because you've got a chairman in Steve Gibson who lets the manager manage. He lets the football side of things get on with it. I don't think there's very little interference in that respect from Steve Gibson. And you speak to managers these days, and a lot of them are talking about how they've got to manage up as well as they're managing down. And in that respect, that I think is ideal for Chris Wilder, who, since he's come here, they've made a real transformation, particularly at home. I mean, they've won their last 7 at the Riverside, but his basic principles are what the supporters as well will also buy into, you know, in terms of hard work and application, and wherever he's been, he's had real success. And I just think that whoever got, I mean, it looked like for a long time it was going to be West Bromwich Albion to appoint Chris Wilder in the summer, and I think whoever was to get him as the manager was going to get a manager who was hungry and determined to try and replicate the success that he's had at his previous clubs.
And the other good thing with him, Rob, as he was saying there to Steve, is he actually encourages expectation. He wants fans to be demanding and expect their club to be, you know, knocking on the door of the Premier League.
Yeah, he's straight talking, isn't he? He always has been, and you know, that he's talked about when he was, as he says, at his previous club, being very close to the fans and having that relationship. And I think he wants to rebuild that here. You kind of get the feeling that it's become a bit disparate at times at Middlesbrough, and he wants to rebuild that. And I think, as Dano's saying, he is a great fit. He's a man who's looked at the squad, who's seen the squad and seen the capabilities in there, and he's instilling that identity within that squad and saying, right, okay, the more we believe in this, the more we can get going, because you need to get out the Championship, and I've done it a few times. You need everyone. You need everyone to pull in the same direction, whether it's someone in the stand, whether it's someone, you know, one of the tea ladies or whoever it might be. Everybody in the club needs to be on board, and that's what he's trying to create.
And that's the first thing, Andy, isn't it? That's the first thing he's actually concentrated on, and then he said everything else will come in time. You know, he's mentioned it might take 2, 3 or 4 windows for him to get his squad how he wants it. You know, he says, I don't micromanage, but I want to be involved in decisions and put my ideas over. I'm very much into the collective. I will look at every department. Medical, this will be good news for Statman Dave, who's desperate to get a job with Chris. But he says every department will be looked at: medical, scouting, travel, the academy. I will put my fingerprints on it, but it already has really good people. So the mindset is what he's focusing on, and maybe over time the personnel will change.
Yeah, I spoke to Middlesbrough's under-23 coach when we played them there recently, and he said that Chris Wilder has been down with them. He's spoken to them about how he kind of wants them to play. Now, that's not to say you have to play exactly how we are, but for me, and I think Dano touched on it a little bit there, it's the principles of what he wants to instill at the football club. Now, that's what endears them to fans. It's what endears them to players, is the front foot football. They play with intensity. They go after teams. They commit men forward. They play quite attacking. They tackle. They head. They do all the basics of football that sometimes can get a little bit left behind, and then add quality into that, which he's had, which he's shown that he's been able to develop within a football team. And I think that's where you get something going in the right direction. He's definitely got something going in the right direction. He's somebody that you know, even neutrals kind of gravitate towards him, because he's a real down-to-earth person. He's a real somebody that the fan can relate to, and you know, obviously Sheffield born, and what he'd done at Sheffield United, why them fans related to him. And I think, you know, the working class area that we touched on in the conversation earlier up in Middlesbrough, I think that's why they were endeared to him so quickly. It transfers out into the pitch, and that type of collective kind of approach to it can't be underestimated. It is so important to have at a football club.
But don't let Andy, we're going to let you go because you have to do Sports Extra with Burnley Leicester. So thank you very much, and you can listen to that on Sports Extra. We'll have updates here, Premier League game at Turf Moor. But just a final one, Ian, on Chris Wilder. Don't let that demeanour, don't let that personality hide the fact that he is a real student of the game. I mean, Antonio Conte said in the build-up to this, you know, he's a good manager who studies.
Very much so. I mean, I remember David Pleat telling me a number of years ago that when we first saw Chris Wilder with the overlapping centre-backs, and he brought that into the Premier League, and they did ever so well in their first season, David was saying that's something that we haven't really seen since. Well, it reminded David of Sir Alf Ramsey from his days at Ipswich. You know, this is a manager who he's done over 1,000 games in his managerial career, and he's desperate to succeed, and he's worked his way up, and yet he is still a humble, modest individual, but he's got this desire, and very similar to Conte, really, that he raises the standards, and he expects those standards to be matched by others in every department. And if you're not prepared, I mean, there'll be many managers maybe listening and say, well, that's what we all expect. But sometimes you get a manager who might be a little bit more aloof. Chris Wilder's certainly not that. He's extremely modest and humble. And whilst he was out of the game, whilst he was doing a little bit of work in the media and for BBC Radio 5 Live, he was watching the games as well. And I knew as soon as whoever got Chris Wilder back in management, that club would prosper.
Ian Dennis and Rob Green are at the Riverside. We're 20 minutes away from kick-off. You can watch it on BBC One as well. Let's find out how the opening 20 minutes or so has gone at Peterborough. John Murray.
Yes, we're 20 minutes into Peterborough's first appearance in the 5th round of the FA Cup for 36 years, and it is still 0-0 with Manchester City, but for much of the match so far it has been like attack against defence. Captain for the Knights, Zinchenko's had a couple of goals, probably wishes he hadn't. The first one hit the top of the roof of the London Road Terrace, the other one went over the roof altogether. But Peterborough, when they've come forward, have posed a couple of threats. Fuchs had an effort which was saved by Ederson, and Nathan Aki was fouled when he mistimed a challenge on Ricky J. Jones, who was away actually just inside the Manchester City half. So it is mainly Manchester City, and it is still 0-0.
The 7:30 kick-off in the FA Cup is Crystal Palace against Stoke. John Southall watching this one.
And it's the same scoreline here. Crystal Palace 0, Stoke City 0. We've played 7 minutes of the game. We've had one half chance for Palace. A corner from the left-hand side from the impressive Michael Elise. There was Jean-Philippe Mateta with a downward header. Didn't quite get it right. It was tame and went wide of the left-hand post. It is Palace in 11th in the Premier League against Stoke City, 15th in the Championship, and it is goalless.
One game in the Scottish Championship this evening, and the leaders are already ahead there. Arbroath 1, Partick Thistle 0 with less than 10 minutes on the clock. Thomas Tuchel today once again pressed by journalists about the situation in Ukraine and its possible implications for Roman Abramovich's ownership of the club. This was Tuchel's response to the journalists.
It's horrible. Of course, it's horrible. There cannot be any other opinion about it. And still there's a huge distraction now going on, and we are worried. But at the end, still, we try to create an atmosphere to come to work and focus on our work, which is our passion. So we are very, very, very grateful and very privileged to have it. But still, you try to do your job as good as possible, and that's the same for us.
How much do you hope that the owner is using any...
No, listen, you have to stop. I'm not a politician. You have to stop, honestly. I can only repeat it. And I even feel bad to repeat it because I never experienced war. So even to talk about it, I feel bad because I'm very privileged. I sit here in peace and I do the best I can, but you have to stop asking me these questions. I have no answers for you.
Thomas Tuchel in his press conference today. Meanwhile, the International Paralympic Committee will decide tomorrow whether to ban Russia from the Winter Paralympics. The World Athletics Council today agreed to exclude all Russian and Belarus athletes from their events for the foreseeable future. Russia and Belarus also been banned from team competitions by the International Tennis Federation. Tyson Fury says his fight against Dillian Whyte will be the last of his career. He was speaking at a press conference for their fight at Wembley on April the 23rd. We'll talk to Steve Bunce about this at half-time. And Jason Roy has said he's going to take a short, indefinite break from cricket to spend some time with his family. He's pulled out of the IPL and he will miss the start of the County Championship. Let's go back to our game this evening. Middlesbrough against Tottenham, a 5-8 kickoff here on 5 Live Sport. Antonio Conte was asked in his press conference ahead of the match about whether he's becoming even more emotional as a manager. This after he suggested that his future at the club was unclear following their defeat to Burnley.
I think that you have to understand when there is a strategy or not.
and not only emotional moment. Every time we have a press conference, there is a strategy behind, not emotional moment. And at that time, I understood that it was the right moment after 4 defeats in 5 games, despite we won the game against Manchester City 3 days ago, to send the right message, a clear message to myself, to the club, and also to the players, because we have to know that we are here to enjoy football, but at the same time with a target to improve ourselves, to ask to ourselves 100% of commitment, of desire, and also to underline that a team like Tottenham doesn't exist to lose 4 games in the last 5 games. If someone understood that it was an emotional, for an emotional moment, no, because in that moment I sent specific message. Usually, and it happened in the past, when I want to try to push the situation and also the environment in the same direction, because I'm seeing that maybe we can do better, and not for an emotional moment, but because there is a strategy behind.
It's a good answer, that is, Rob Green. Do you believe him?
It's a terrible answer. There's one or two things. It's a strategy to G up the team. You say, okay, they went out, so they think he's going to quit, so they went out and won 4-0. Brilliant. Okay, there's your answer. I'm not having it. No, I think for a man who's so emotional on the touchline, and he was evidently very, very clear, very, very emotional after the game. I mean, those press conferences last a long time because he has to do the TV, he has to do the written media, he has to do the radio, and poor old Gary Flintoff will be sat there and waiting for him for half an hour to get to him at the end. But you're looking at Conte, and he gave the same answer to all of them. So he was clearly riled. It wasn't something that he's just sat there and thought, I tell you what, it's a really good idea about this. No, I'm not buying it.
No, and also I think you see, Ian, don't you, when you do this, the post-match interviews tend to be the most natural, maybe, because when they go into press conferences or pre-match or, those interviews that you do a couple of days before a game, they can be more planned. They can work out what message they want to get out then. In the heat of the battle, straight after a game, that's when the emotion comes out more.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes, though, if he's repeated the same one, you then might get where you row back a little bit. You might do one where you really do feel the emotion, and you probably say too much than you necessarily wanted to. But if he's repeating the message in the same one, then is it strategic? Is he then trying to get a message to the players and those at the club? I actually thought that he brought unnecessary pressure to himself and to the club by the comments that he made, because all of a sudden his next press conference is guaranteed about him. Sometimes managers do say things as a deflection technique to take it away from the players.
Yeah, well, that was some deflection. If that was a deflection technique, that was some deflection technique, because that's all anybody spoke about for the next few days, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. So, mate, was it deliberate? Jose Mourinho always did things like that, didn't he? I often thought Mourinho, he always had a plan.
But I don't think that you're looking at the performance against Burnley individually. It wasn't the worst performance over all those defeats. You'd probably say the Southampton defeat was worse. So if you're going to get so I think it's a build-up of the frustration of, I don't see the team that I'm putting out there. I don't see a consistent answer here. I can't put my hat on it. I've worked under manager, and the most frustrating thing about playing or in being in charge of people like me is that you don't know what you're going to get from a game-to-game basis. And so you're looking at it and you turn around going, what am I getting here? Am I going to get this team today? What are you going to do? And so I genuinely believe, it was... I think it was initially one of pure frustration, an outburst of emotion at the end of the game. And you see that interview on TV, the first one, it's hammering down with rain, it's windy, it's a typical night at Turf Moor, he's fed up, he's had enough, and I think he's just doubled down on it. He's just said, I'll tell you what, I'm going with this, and if they do boot me out, they'll boot me out.
To be honest, Rob, I feel for some of your former managers. Then, on the basis of tonight, I feel like that as a presenter. What am I going to get from you?
An answer, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Just a final one on Tottenham here for now. They're a very difficult side and club, maybe, to work out at the moment. It feels such a puzzle with them.
Well, they've gone for these, in inverted commas, sort of perennial winners, haven't they? In terms of Mourinho, we win trophies. Conte is probably different in style, but I win trophies. This is what I do. This is what I hang my hat on. And it's not, we're a decision away from him walking out or leaving last week, and Mourinho's been and gone. There's been a number of managers who've been and gone, so they've tried different ones. They've tried it, and you're looking at it with Spurs, and I think they're just still trying to find out who they are on the pitch as well. So I think there's all sorts of, they're coming out with some games, and there's more questions than answers at times, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely, because as we know from what we've seen in the last month, they can be very good against Manchester City. They can be very, very good against Leeds, although, as people will also say, how much you could judge a side against Leeds over this past month is maybe a little bit harder. And yet on the other side, Ian, they can be awful at home to Wolves or Southampton.
Yeah, if you speak to Tottenham fans, and I've spoke to a few of late, had recent conversations with Tottenham Hotspur supporters, and they would tell you that performance at Burnley after the high of beating a Manchester City is a typically Spursy thing to do. And then obviously you go back and they bounce back and they beat Leeds in the manner that they did. And yet that's probably been, they're just looking for that consistency. And tonight I think will be a test for some of the players. Some of those players who maybe didn't fancy it in those conditions at Burnley last week. He's gone with an unchanged side. There are no excuses for Tottenham Hotspur tonight. They're going to come here at the Riverside against a Middlesbrough team who are going to be at it, placed in the quarterfinals, sell-out crowd at the Riverside, and those players are going to have to deliver.
Let's go round the games that are already underway. We're just a few minutes away from kick-off at the Riverside. We'll start with the two FA Cup games. John Murray at Peterborough, Manchester City.
Yes, the first of the fifth round ties to kick off is still Peterborough United 0, Manchester City 0, and we have played 32 minutes. Manchester City really have been all over Peterborough, but they've been putting up a packed defence and saying to City, you're going to have to find a way through, and the shooting has been wild. We've just seen Gundogan with a shot across the face of goal and beyond the far post, a wild effort from Grealish, which was well wide across the face of goal. So Manchester City are going to have to find a way through. We've just got a stoppage at the moment because Stephen Bender, the Peterborough goalkeeper, was clattered by Fernandinho. I think he's going to be okay. He's not had to make a save yet. Peterborough United 0, Manchester City 0.
Goalless between Crystal Palace and Stoke as well. John Southall.
It is. It's been a fairly quiet start to the game, I have to say that. But in the last 5 minutes or so, Stoke have been on the front foot. Actually, I'm just looking to the left-hand side now, and there's a leak in one of the gutters in the main stand just down in front of us, and it's absolutely pouring down on about 3 or 4 rows, and there are people scattering everywhere. And that is probably the highlight so far, Mark, of the opening 16 minutes of the game. It's 0-0.
Tom Gale at Turf Moor. This is a Premier League game, Burnley-Leicester.
4 minutes gone, Mark. 0-0. Thankfully, mine's a bit more lively than John. Great atmosphere here at Turf Moor. Sean Dyche's side, no, avoid defeat. They move out of the bottom 3. No win in 5 Premier League games for Leicester. Jamie Vardy's back, but only on the bench. Still yet to have a shot on target. Burnley 0, Leicester 0.
Every game is goalless that has kicked off this evening. There are several in League One and in League Two. One game in the Championship between Cardiff and Derby. There's games in the National League. Everything goalless. The only goals have gone in Scotland so far, with the Championship leaders Arbroath a goal up on Partick Thistle. And in League One, Queen's Park lead Peterhead by a goal to 0. Rob Green, Chris Wilder has said in the build-up to this, his side haven't practiced penalties because you can't replicate the 6-foot putter Augusta.
It's a fair point, isn't it? And I think you're looking at it, and if you are taking penalties on a week-on-week basis, and you have to change your technique, change whatever it's then yeah, you do practice your penalties, but from there you can't replicate it. I've played in teams where you're going into tournaments and going into World Cups and European Championships, and players have been one of the 5 and then done that badly in training, have dropped out the 5. So it can throw the complete spanner in the works as well.
I mean, Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp said after the League Cup final, we were discussing this last night, they're using all sorts of neuroscience databases to help with their penalty order.
Wow. Okay, that's a different level, isn't it? And no, they've done that on they've done it on the set pieces as well, haven't they? They're using the goggles for the glasses for triggers and all sorts of things like that. And but does it replicate the pressure of standing over a ball and with 90,000 there, or one of the young lads for Middlesbrough today, or maybe one of the young lads coming on for Spurs and having to take a penalty? Who knows? You cannot replicate that pressure.
Early goal in League One, and it's come for Oxford, which would really cement their playoff spot. At the moment, they're at Fratton Park this evening, and they lead Portsmouth by a goal to 0. And the League Two leaders are behind very early on as well. Newport lead Forest Green Rovers by a goal to 0. Thin as Az with that, with just 3 minutes on the clock. So Forest Green Rovers are behind. And Northampton have taken the lead at home to Walsall as well. That one has just gone in. So when the goals go in, as ever, just like on a Saturday afternoon, Ian Dennis will bring them to you. He is based at the Riverside tonight for the FA Cup 5th round tie. You can watch this on BBC One if you want. Tottenham are the home sides, visitors, and Rob Green is alongside Ian.
Thanks, Mark. Great support from Tottenham. Nearly 4,000 fans are over on that far side here at the Riverside, which is a sellout, as the two teams have just taken to the field. Middlesbrough in their red shirts with the white broad band going across the front of their jerseys and red shorts, and Tottenham Hotspur in their traditional colours, the white shirts and the navy shorts. So a reminder of the two teams. Middlesbrough have made just the one change from the side that lost at Oakwell at the weekend. Crooks is back from suspension for Lisa Leakey. Joe Lumley is in goal. A back three of Dyke Steele, Fry and McNair, Jones and Taylor are the wing-backs, Marcus Tavernier, Howson and Crooks the midfield, Duncan Watmore and Andras Spora are the two up front. Tottenham Hotspur unchanged, which tells you everything about Antonio Conte's mentality and desire to reach the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Hugo Lloris is in goal. Back three of Romero, Dyer and Davis. Doherty and Sessegnon are the wing-backs, right and left respectively. And then you've got Højbjerg and Winks in the centre of midfield, with Kulusevski and Son behind Harry Kane, who was absolutely superb against Leeds United at the weekend. So this is on BBC One as well as BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. We've got Burnley Leicester City in the Premier League that is live on Sports Extra, and one of the other FA Cup ties, Crystal Palace Stoke City tonight, is also available to watch via the red button. Well, now there is an announcement here at the Riverside where Middlesbrough Football Club are going to show some support and solidarity. They made a request to the FA to do this for the people of Ukraine. So on the giant screen over on that far side, very, very soon, there will be the Ukrainian colours, the yellow and the blue. And with this period of applause, the message will read, "We all stand together," and there it is. The white lettering, "We all," on the blue, and on the yellow, "Stand together." And everybody is on their feet in the Riverside. Notice as well there are some Ukrainian flags, and in fact the Middlesbrough mayor, Andy Preston, has the colours of the Ukraine flag flying over the town hall in the centre of Middlesbrough. I remember commentating on Dnipro here in a UEFA Cup tie back in 2005, and there were some hardy souls that had made the journey across from Dnipropetrovsk. and our thoughts are with everybody connected with what is happening in Ukraine. As now, referee Darren England has blown his whistle, but the Middlesbrough players are standing tall but are applauding, whilst the Tottenham players take the knee in the fight against discrimination. Darren England, who incidentally, when he took charge of the recent game for Middlesbrough at Blackburn Rovers, when Chris Wilder's side lost by 1-0, showed 10 yellow cards that night. Middlesbrough then in predominantly all red, playing from left to right against his Tottenham side, who are attacking the north end of the ground, which is at the River Tees end, for those of you who have ever been here to the Riverside. Good noise though, Rob Green.
Yeah, great atmosphere this evening. It started lively, and you're looking at Middlesbrough, and they've got real mobility in this team. They've got guys who work hard up front. Initially, now they're pushing high, they're holding a high line, they're not too scared they're not dropping off in fear of Son or Kulusevski going in behind. I'll be interested to see this battle of the wing-backs, Sessegnon against Jones. Between the two of them, it could be a really interesting, positive battle between the two.
I came to Middlesbrough Queen's Park Rangers earlier in the season, very impressed with Isaiah Jones. He's been converted into a wing-back. He was signed from Tooting and Mitcham, which was the club that, of course, produced Mikel Antonio, but he is fast and he will cause problems. As Harry Winks plays the ball through the middle, looking for Son, comes towards Harry Kane. Dyke Steele got a foot into the challenge there, and Tavernier, the younger brother of James, who of course plies his trade at Glasgow Rangers. Dyke Steele wearing looks like a light cast on his left wrist. Back to Joe Lumley, all in yellow. But the best of touches from Lumley, didn't really get much elevation. Sessegnon, he was at fault for one of the goals at Oakwell, booed by a section of the Middlesbrough support. As a goalkeeper, you've been there, that won't have done his confidence the world of good.
No, he wasn't particularly helped out by the back pass, right along down deep onto the goal line, having to charge across, and rather than go for the safe option of getting it high and in the stand, he decided to go for the spectacular drill, and it didn't come off.
Corner taken quickly. Son, Winks, curls it in, up in the air, headed out by Crooks. Kulusevski back to goal. Doherty joins the attack. What a fine game he had against Leeds United. Scored his first goal for the club in West Yorkshire. Cross from the right-hand side. Neil Taylor cuts it out. Kulusevski, left-footed, plays the ball, left corner of the area to Son. Son trying to get a side of goal. The angle is tight, drills it in, and Crooks can clear. In fact, he holds off Eric Dyer, gets the ball out from underneath his feet. Running forward now, Crooks, and his diagonal ball takes a deflection off the chest of Davis, and it's then played forward by Doherty. Romero, actually on the halfway line, plays it forward. Doherty is ahead of him. Tottenham Hotspur playing from right to left, 0-0, 3 minutes played. Joe Lumley, somebody who you know well.
Yeah, my old teammate at QPR, my understudy there. He's a good lad, he's a Tottenham fan. In from Chigwell, so wanted to do well tonight. But yeah, under pressure in his first few minutes, and Middlesbrough, last 3 games have conceded first and not really got going in their games in the Championship. Were blown away really by Barnsley at the weekend, and so they'll have to be on their mettle early doors here, because Spurs look threatening already.
Lumley actually joined Tottenham at the age of 10, and he played in the same youth system and the same youth team as Harry Winks, who's on the ball here and playing the ball back to Lloris. Excellent atmosphere inside the Riverside. It's cracking, sell-out, up towards Kane, 10 yards inside his own half. Loses the ball, runs towards Crooks, back in the side after missing the last 2, with an accumulation for a 2-match ban for collecting 10 yellow cards. But he's a big unit in the midfield, isn't he? Crooks, what is he, 6'4"?
Yeah, likes to get forward, likes to get headers in the box, scores goals. 8 goals this season from midfield already.
Big player in every sense. Certainly Chris Wilder's a big fan of his. Wycombe are leading Cambridge United by 1-0 without a win in 7 in League One, but Wycombe are leading at Adams Park. We'll keep in touch with the goals as they go in. This is the FA Cup. We've got Peterborough United, Manchester City at 7:15. Crystal Palace Stoke City at 7:30, and of course we were just underway at 5 to 8. Searching ball towards Jones, headed away by Sessegnon. Winks playing the ball forward. Kulusevski loses out. Tavernier out towards that side. Sporer with a cross. Dyer volleys it away. Sheffield Wednesday are leading Burton by a 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday in the playoff positions. 2 clear of Plymouth. Dyke Steele right of the centre circle. Brooks is seeing a lot of the ball. Jones quickly closed down by Sessegnon. Sends out a message, I think, doesn't it, from Antonio Conte, and it's one that I'm sure the Tottenham fans would appreciate, that unchanged, full strength.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a competition they can win, and you're looking at it and saying, well, we might be inconsistent. We've only got a few games to win this one, so hopefully we do so in each round.
They've been doing like a mini tour of the north of Tottenham Hotspur. This is the final match in a sequence of 4 successive away games. As a diagonal ball just goes away from Kulusevski, and Neil Taylor running back gets it then to McNair. Tavernier out across towards Taylor, vastly experienced Welsh international on the halfway line. So they've been to Manchester City, Burnley and Leeds. Now they finish off here in the northeast. Dyke Steele back to Dale Fry. Actually played against Tottenham when they met in the FA Cup 2 years ago. Jonathan Woodgate was the manager then up against Jose Mourinho. It was a 1-1 draw, and of course in those days we still had replays. Spurs won it by 2-1. Not tonight. It's got to be settled on the night. And incidentally, Spurs have never lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. They've won 4 and drawn 2, although both draws were away from home. 1905 and then a little bit more recently. 0-0 then here in the early stages, half-time at London Road. John Murray.
Yes, it's 0-0 here between the bottom of the Championship and the top of the league. A strong City team have been wasteful in their shooting against a packed Peterborough defence. 10 corners for City, but the home goalkeeper Benda has not had to make a save yet, while Edison at the other end has had to from Fuchs, and Posh have asked questions on the rare times they've counter-attacked. It's atmospheric, and it's still Peterborough United 0, Manchester City 0 at half-time.
John's doing his own little tour tomorrow. He's actually at Kenilworth Road tomorrow night. Luton Town against Chelsea, where he'll be joined by Clinton Morrison. Liverpool-Norwich, which is another of the FA Cup ties. That's on Sports Extra. Live football to look forward to on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tottenham. Doherty coming in off that right touchline. Davis stepping forward now. Ahead of him is Sessegnon. Cuts in front of Jones. Sessegnon's away into the penalty area, looking towards Harry Kane, and coming across to cover was Dale Fry.
A brilliant recovery from Fry. Realised the danger, just get in front of the goal. Just came checking over his shoulder as to where Harry Kane was. Jones had got that wrong. He thought he could win the ball, tried to cut it out, and then Sessegnon was away. Just needed that final ball.
Again, they've taken that corner short on this left-hand side. Back with Son, enters the penalty area, shows too much to Sporer. Romero then wins it back for Tottenham. Eventually manages to roll the ball with him out towards Højbjerg, and then back it goes, and Sessegnon on the halfway line. Wycombe have got a second goal. Wycombe 2, Cambridge United 0. You're up to date with the goals as they go in. BBC Radio 5 Live here at the Riverside. What has been a glorious day in this part of the world after a very keen frost. Sun shining, however, with those clear blue skies, the temperature is dropping, and it's dropping quickly, or it feels as if it's dropping quickly.
Atmosphere's keeping us warm though.
Yeah, it is, it's good. Tottenham fans are in good voice, serenading Antonio Conte down below, arms folded. Chris Wilder, hands in his trouser pockets, watching on after claiming the scalp of Manchester United in round 4. Harry Kane running back, forward ball, Son, left side of the centre circle, right-footed pass, Doherty on that far side, Kulusevski's coming towards him, Doherty prods it into the path of the Swedish international, and then plays it back along the ground. Højbjerg goes inside, Harry Winks just tickles it along its way, helps it on its path. Davis almost shows too much to Dyke Steele. Sessegnon now coming in off the left touchline. Tottenham are threatening here. Kane with his back to goal, looking for a sight there, plays it out towards Doherty. Right hand side, clips over the cross. Jones did well. He was under pressure from Sessegnon. Flags up on the far side anyway. Incidentally, there's no VAR tonight because it's a championship ground. Still 0-0.
Yeah, the two wing backs combining. They did so at the weekend a couple of times. One for a goal and one for a really good chance, and doing it again there. Coming in at the far post, just sneaking offside. But Middlesbrough got a bit of a problem, or not so much of a problem. They've been told, as one of the three centre-halves, you go tight. Whoever out Son, Kane or Kulusevski drops in, you go with him, because you've got the two cover. It also leaves a big gap in there. The runners that have noticing, they're just noticing it now. The Spurs runners are saying, OK, we'll let you go in there. We'll chase that gap. We'll find it.
Here is Kulusevski coming to the central area. Doherty joining the attack. You saw from his days at Wolves how he can really be so effective as a wing-back. Hasn't necessarily maybe replicated that form in a Tottenham jersey, although he did against Leeds United. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, it was really good form. I think it was tailor-made for him as a game, and I think he just sort of sealed his position there with that performance, because Emerson Royal, not really most attacking wing-back that they've got.
No, and not very convincing at times either this season. Winks across to Sessegnon left-hand side. Nobody on the overlap, goes in field. Goal disallowed at Turf Moor. Tom Gale.
Burnley 0, Leicester 0. The visitors have been the better side, Ian, but Burnley had the ball in the back of the net. Lennon dispossessing Thomas, right side of the box, swinging a wicked cross, tap in for Cornet. My view of the replay, he looked level. VAR did have a look at it, disallowed. Burnley 0, Leicester 0. We played 21 minutes.
As it stands, Everton are actually in the relegation zone, with the point that Burnley are currently in the process of picking up. Commentary of that one is on Sports Extra. Burnley 0, Leicester 0. Crystal Palace, Stoke City, you can watch via the red button. Howson just getting a challenge in there for Middlesbrough. Johnny Howson, who actually played against Tottenham in the fourth round 12 years ago for Leeds United. That was when Simon Grayson was the manager, and I think, if memory serves me right, it was his ball through for Jermaine Beckford when Leeds that year knocked out Manchester United, and it was their first win since 1981 at Old Trafford. It's a day I'm sure that the Leeds United fans will not be in a hurry to forget. They enjoyed it that much. Middlesbrough know that feeling of knocking out Manchester United. 8-7 on penalties, of course, as Lumley comes out of his goal, all in yellow. Fair-haired goalkeeper. It's quite an awkward one, wasn't it? Just above knee height for him to try and get over with his right foot.
Yeah, and needed a form of a karate kick, really, and because he was running out, couldn't quite manage it. I think Son was offside, but wasn't given. No VAR.
No VAR here, but you'll have VAR at Selhurst Park, John Southall.
Yes, and we have had a penalty challenge here. Palace 0, Stoke City 0. Michael Elise went down in the area, waved away by the referee. It was a challenge from Harwood Bellis. We've seen it from a couple of angles, and I think it's probably just about the right result. Palace 0, Stoke 0. We've got about 7 minutes to half-time.
Harrogate Town 1, Port Vale 0 is the latest score in League 2. Still 0-0 here at the Riverside. As Lloris, long clearance. Ooh, clash of heads. Referee's got to stop play there. It was Dyke Steele backing into Dale Fry. Dyke Steele is still on his feet, but holding the left side of his head. But Fry is face down in the turf.
Yeah, that was the right call from Darren England, but Winks and Son were through. And he was on the halfway line. Both of them honest attempt to get the ball, clashing with their own players. This is what I'm saying about the centre forward allowed to leave the line. It's Dyke still stepping forward out the line initially, then wanting to step back in, doesn't know where his teammate is. Spurs were through, but no complaints from the players. Just get it sorted.
Chris Wilder watching on. Alan Neil, meanwhile, is giving some liquid refreshment to the Middlesbrough players as treatment is being applied to Dale Fry, who gets a pat on the back of the head from Sporer. after just having a clash at the front of their head. And not necessarily, that's not the wisest thing for him to have done. But
evens it up.
Yeah. And Chris Wilder at this stage as well is just trying to have a word with the Middlesbrough players. So Fry is back on his feet. A little bit of a wobble there. Of course, they won't. Well, you would hope that they wouldn't take any chances with Dale Fry. And but we've seen, haven't we, in numerous instances in the past where players, and Vertonghen's one from a Tottenham point of view, where he came on.
He's rubbing his head there, just seeing on the monitors in front of us. It seems like a big bit of bruising already, so I think the medical team for Middlesbrough will keep a close eye on that.
Be so careful with concussion these days. Quarter of an hour played, 5 live, still 0-0. Højbjerg to Winks. Davis near side. Son back with Davis. Crooks putting him under pressure. Winks now almost as the back line there, playing as the left side of the three, filling in for Davis. Do like Harry Winks. I think he's a really tidy midfielder, can be combative, but maybe at one stage he was thinking he'd have to leave Tottenham Hotspur, but with Antonio Conte, he's very much back in favour. Carlisle are leading Rochdale by a 1-0. Paul Simpson in his first game in charge. They've won away at Leyton Orient the weekend. First win in 9. Now at Brunton Park leading Rochdale. As the beat of the drum in the south stand by the Middlesbrough Ultras. The flags waving, red and white, in that end to our right-hand side. Quite a vocal bunch. Drum helps, of course. 16 minutes played. McNair. What have you made of the opening quarter of an hour or so?
Yeah, it's an interesting battle that when Spurs get it, they invite, a bit like what Leeds did, they're inviting that pressure into the press and saying, well, go on, press us in our own half and we back ourselves to play through. And also Dijksteel's the one who goes in there with the midfielders. That leaves a big gap. I think Son and Sessegnon are slowly working out, as I said, that one of them will drop in, one of them will come inside, and then the other one will exploit that gap. Just tempt him out and say, OK, we'll play down that corridor and break through there.
Son, Højbjerg, forward ball. Kulusevski was getting marked tightly from behind. Højbjerg's forward ball. Kane's made the run right-hand side of the penalty area. Back inside to Kulusevski, but he's shown too much there to Howson, and Howson was challenged there. He's 33 years of age, and if he looks after himself, Johnny Howson could keep going for at least another 3-4 years.
He's looked good in these opening minutes, opening 15, 16 minutes. He's just played at the right-hand side of the three at the weekend against Barnsley, and I think that didn't really work for him. He's much more suited now to that defensive midfielder role, and it's really incredibly valuable in this side, especially with the midfielders, the centre-back stepping out. He can fill in those gaps. Did well there, and that to the good effect there.
He was last year, Johnny Howson voted the North East Football Writers Association North East Footballer of the Year. It was a Middlesbrough double, in fact, because Marcus Tavernier was voted the Young Player of the Year. And in fact, they're yet to receive their awards because of the pandemic, and that dinner's actually this weekend in Durham. So they'll be getting their hands on some silverware. Although actually thinking about it, they're playing Sheffield United next Tuesday. They might not be able to go with it because of that. But a personal accolade is certainly forthcoming anyway, albeit delayed. 0-0, 5 live, 19 minutes played. Davis to Dyer. And talk of Eric Dyer, his form and his importance to Tottenham. Could see an England recall. Wait and see about that for the matches against Switzerland and the Ivory Coast at Wembley Stadium later this month, because of course today is the first day of spring. Not that it necessarily feels like it here at the Riverside, as Jones coming forward, and a stumbling Davis is adjudged to have been fouled and gets a free kick in favour of Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I got that the wrong way around. Jones got fouled about 10 yards previous. Davis dragged him back and then got in front of him and then fell over and got the free kick himself. So you could say it was well played by Davis.
Here is Kulusevski, yet to have an opportunity on goal so far from either side. 19 minutes played. Familiar cry of "come on Borough," Davis chipping it long, Kulusevski making the run, Lumley comes out of his goal line and then waits for the ball to bounce and then takes it back into his penalty area, and then there's a little bit of jousting with Kulusevski. Howson just sitting in front of that back three. Crooks able to turn. Sporer making the run out towards the right-hand side. Watmore lurks in the penalty area, met by Wink's volley to clear it in front of the main stand.
Yeah, two really good gaps Middlesbrough have found. Howson there, just dropping in the gap in front of the midfield, and Crooks to the right of both Højbjerg and Winks, and say, right, okay, if your wing backs are going to press high, I'll just drift out here. And they found those two gaps, and it's straight through Spurs.
Loose ball, Højbjerg, break for Tottenham. Højbjerg though dispossessed. Marcus Tavernier taking it away off his toes. Taylor, left-hand side over the halfway line. Kulusevski weren't going with him. Watmore couldn't hold on to the ball, and it's played away by Romero, stroked up then by Højbjerg, and then the ball in field, and now it's Davis to Harry Kane. Harry Kane into the centre circle, look for a diagonal forward ball, comes off the legs of McNair, runs out towards the Tottenham right. Doherty is attacking. Doherty with a cutback, reaches Davis. Good 30 yards out from goal, and then Davis plays the ball back to Eric Dyer. Sheffield Wednesday are leading Burton now 2-0 at Hillsborough in League One. Doherty inside, ball back, Kulusevski, Romero, Dyer, Tottenham half inside the forward ball. Offside, was it against Sessegnon? Yes. So Peterborough 0, Manchester City 0 was a 7:15 kick-off. They'll be just getting underway in the second half. And in the 7:30 kick-off at Selhurst Park, another FA Cup tie, they've just reached half-time. John Southall.
We have Palace 0, Stoke City 0. Not the best half of football you'll ever see. Stoke will probably be happy enough. No shots on target for either side. Michael Elise had a penalty appeal waved away. Mateta had a shot blocked. And that is about it. Awful conditions. Extra time, anyone? Palace 0, Stoke 0.
The draw on Thursday will be conducted by the England manager Gareth Southgate. Of course, strong Middlesbrough connections. Middlesbrough-Tottenham will be ball number 6 for those ties to be played at the weekend after the Cheltenham Festival, which is fast approaching. And of course, the very best coverage with John Hunt on BBC Radio 5 Live throughout that event. Burton have got a goal back. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Burton 1. Jones on this near side. Sporer comes deep. Slovenian international, Howson, back with Sporer. Continues to exchange passes with Howson, who right-footed. Every outfield player now is actually in the Tottenham half. McNair joining the attack from defence. Tavernier's going to come in field. Howson's actually ahead of him. Dyke-Steele now 6 yards ahead of the centre circle. Crooks on this near side, the right. Jones with a back heel. Crooks couldn't quite take it into his path. But there are signs they're growing in confidence, the home team.
Well, they haven't conceded, which is an obvious thing to say, but that's better than the previous 3 games that they've had. And, they haven't given Tottenham that head start. And from there, they've come into the game a little bit more. They haven't got round Tottenham yet. They haven't really sort of got round the back of them at all in any respect. Hugo Lloris, a couple of back passes, that's it. Tottenham, when they do lose the ball, they drop in very organised. Just stick to the shape.
Jones couldn't quite control that ball, just goes underneath the right foot and out for a throw. Middlesbrough 8th in the Championship against the Tottenham Hotspur side, who are 7th in the Premier League. So that's 21 places, the difference between the two. And Barrow are down to 10 men as they are currently drawing away at Bristol Rovers 0-0. But Niall Canavan has been sent off just past the half hour in League Two. You can feel the chill rolling down in off the River Tees, which is behind the end to our left-hand side. Middlesbrough defending that end, playing from left to right. Chris Wilder pointing with his right hand. He had a word with Watmore when there was a break in play earlier. Duncan Watmore, who's had littered with knee injuries in his career, but such a promising player in his days at Altrincham and Sunderland before injuries really did badly hinder his career.
As Crooks coming across, takes it away from Son. Taylor. Tavernier back with Taylor once again. Spoor has gone wide on that left-hand side. Middlesbrough seeing a lot of the ball. And then it's out now to Jones on this right-hand side. Sessegnon gets tight towards him. Back he goes to Dyke-Steele. Square ball. Howson forced back. Fry, thankfully, shown no adverse effects to that head injury. Watmore, who we've just been talking about, finds Sporer, gets the shot away. That was blocked. Dyke-Steele to Crooks. Urged on by the Middlesbrough crowd. Jones. Crooks once again, 30 yards out. Jones just in from the right touchline. Nicely done. Dyke-Steele behind Watmore. Tottenham Hotspur clear. Let's get an update from London Road. John Murray.
Second half underway, Peterborough United 0, Manchester City 0, and Peterborough are attacking towards the London Road terrace in this second half, and they've just had the chance of the match so far from a long throw that was glanced down, and Sami Smodic, 7 yards out, middle of the goal, scuffed his shot wide of the far post, so it's still 0-0, and Manchester City making a double change at the start of the second half. Two central defenders coming on, Laporte and Stones, for Diaz and the booked Aki.
This weekend, John will be joined by Peter Schmeichel as part of Five Live's Premier League Sunday, the Manchester derby, City at home to United. That's after we've brought you Watford against Arsenal. So much live football to look forward to on BBC Radio 5 Live. 26 minutes played, Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham 0, and still yet to have a serious shot on target. I know Middlesbrough just had an effort block there.
Yeah, it's better from Middlesbrough. It's good on the ball, and they're just working out. Chris Wilder was speaking to his players.
Here is Kulusevski into the penalty area. Challenge comes in, won't quite fall for Son. Cleared away. And then it'll be Tavernier to Sporer. Howson. Crooks. Jones over the halfway line and back inside to Crooks. Spreads play from right to left. Taylor waits. Interception from Doherty. Only heads it into the path of Tavernier. I don't think there was any. That looked like a well-timed challenge, didn't it, on Kulusevski?
Yeah, it was a good tackle. I think it was the foot in from behind that made it look dangerous, but he won the ball, and you thought just by the way that his body shape went, Kulusevski got the other side of Fry. It was a really good lunge, so to speak, that it actually pulled it off.
Without VAR, it wouldn't have made any difference, but I just haven't had a chance to look at it again. But it looked like it was a well-timed challenge. Sporer couldn't quite get there. Dyer was tight behind him. Tavernier back towards Fry. Forward ball, stabbed back by Crooks. Jones coming in off the right touchline. Tavernier goes short inside to Dyke-Steele. Now it's with McNair. Paddy McNair, the Northern Ireland international. Howson to Watmore. Almost broke back into the penalty box for Howson, who was charging after it. Lloris all in green with the clearance, headed forward then by Harry Winks, headed back by McNair. Middlesbrough now with Neil Taylor. They've won their last 7 here at home since Preston North End back in November. In fact, since Chris Wilder took charge, it's just 1 defeat in 9 home games. It's a record that he's extremely proud of. Isaiah Jones. Inside away from Sessegnon. Said he'd got pace. Showed it there. Tottenham, though, to bring it away with Højbjerg. Chipping the ball forward. Son might have timed his run perfectly there. Flag has stayed down. Middlesbrough had 3 red shirts to deal with Son. Winks. Dyer at walking pace. Out to Romero. We're approaching the half-hour mark on BBC Radio 5 Live. Dyke-Steele cushions his header down towards Howson. Winks tried to pull him back. The referee's played a good advantage down in England. Howson, diagonal ball, couldn't quite reach Sporer. And now Romero steps out of defence. Cup tie just starting to get a little bit more open.
Yeah, it feels like a cup tie, doesn't it? And it's end-to-end. It's but no real sort of bite through the middle, through the defences. Middlesbrough adjusted quite well. I realise what Chris Wilder was trying to do. He's trying to get Watmore to pull wide to create the low overload. So you've got either wing back, and then Crooks or Tavernier pull him wide onto the wide and right. So they've got 3 players out wide. They realise that it's too tight in the middle. The Spurs are holding their line and keeping narrow too much. So go out wide, get the overload, and they're having joy from that now.
Romero, that's the voice of Rob Green, former England international goalkeeper, who's with us here at the Riverside. Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. One game in the Premier League. It's currently live on Sports Extra. Burnley, Leicester City. Tom Gale.
0-0, Ian. Frustration for Sean Dyche. You saw Maxwell Cornet's tap in, and 21st minute disallowed for offside, and his captain Ben Mee has gone off, unable to shake off the ill effects of a last-ditch tackle on Patson Daka. He's been replaced by Nathan Collins. Less than 5 minutes till half-time. Burnley 0, Leicester 0.
Wigan Athletic, second in League One. They do have 2 games in hand on Rotherham, who themselves are playing tonight. Wigan, though, have just taken the lead at home to Fleetwood. Lumley collects that back pass and drives right-footed long downfield. Howson overruns it to Romero. His ball, though, goes straight towards Crooks, and Chris Wilder urging Middlesbrough on. Isaiah Jones from the right-hand side. Tavernier gets it back, finds the Middlesbrough midfield. Once again, left-footed, square pass, Howson. Now McNair joining the attack, left-hand side, back with Howson once again, strokes it in field, Dyke-Steele. Crooks will let it go through towards Jones. He'll make a run into the penalty area. Middlesbrough play it back. Dyke-Steele to Tavernier. Finds Watmore with a cross into the penalty area rather than having a go at goal. Doherty on the cover, cleared. Davis then with a header away. Flicked by Winks. Downfield by Son. And then the slip by Harry Kane. Much to the amusement of the Middlesbrough crowd. Crooks leaves it for Watmore. Well-timed challenge by Davis for Tottenham. Howson coming forward for Middlesbrough, still 0-0. McNair taken out on the edge of the area, was he? No free kick. Counter-attack now for Tottenham. Kane to Kulusevski, far side the right, holds it up, back to Højbjerg, leaves it for Doherty. Middlesbrough have the red shirts back. And now it's with Davis.
It's not been a break in play for about 5 minutes.
Ball over the top towards Harry Kane. Now you have. Flags up. Free kick Middlesbrough 0-0.
I just looked around, I thought some of these players looked tired here, and then I realised it's not stopped for 5 minutes. They were looking at Crooks, who's making these overlapping runs down the right side. And he's knackered. He's on his knees, poor lad. He just needed a break.
He has been everywhere. We seem to have mentioned Matt Crooks quite a lot, really.
Well, he's the one who's creating the overload on this right-hand side, and they nearly got through there. And you were saying about Watmore, and it was him recognising that link-up between Crooks and Dyke-Steele and Jones on the right-hand side. Just get in there, join the party. And he did, and that's when the opening came, and he decided to cross rather than shoot.
Watmore's an intelligent footballer. If you look at his movement.
Yeah, it was the right decision to cross.
Dale Fry, still 0-0, and we've got about 12 minutes of the first half remaining on BBC Radio 5 Live. Fry at the heart of the Middlesbrough defence. I was going to say he's a smashing kid too, Duncan Watmore. I just realised he's 27. Jones going forward, making that run with his pace, coming in off that right touchline, and it was caught by Lloris.
Really good play, just to mix it up, just to that threat to say we can do that as well, because a lot of it's gone forward. They don't really have that big man up front to go to, so just to change it up, it's a clever idea.
Nice flick by Son. Højbjerg running through. Sessegnon just in from the left touchline. Son's gone ahead of him. Kane's come short. Ball inside. He's nutmegged. Tavernier now out towards Winks. Romero's going on the overlap. Doherty's also gone forward. They've got plenty of white shirts here, Tottenham. Kulusevski back towards Winks. Romero playing almost as a right wing back himself to the man who is playing in that position, Doherty, just in from the touchline. Romero. And then out it goes. Kulusevski. Højbjerg running out into a pocket of space, sends over the cross from the right hand side. Fry was stretching. Dyke-Steele heads it also away. And glad it wasn't just you there. We've got a young boy he's getting ever closer and closer to our commentary position. I thought it was Gary, the producer, trying to get my attention, because in the corner of my eye I could see this white light being flashed. And he's got his mobile phone out, and he's doing it all. He's trying to set off a light show all by himself. But I saw you have a little glance too.
I think he wants to take your job, Dana.
Here is Dyer. There's many ways that Gary will try and attract my attention. Sometimes I've been prodded. That would be a new one. Sessegnon calling the challenge. Winks goes down too easily. Referee says no foul. Tavernier. 10 minutes to go to half-time. Oh, Jones gives the ball away. Frustration for the Middlesbrough supporters. Taylor running back, wins it back. I'm enjoying the cup tie.
It's a great game of football, and I think you're looking at how Spurs have approached it and how Middlesbrough have gone about their business in terms of getting into the game and giving this home crowd belief. They've certainly done that now.
Portsmouth have equalised at Fratton Park. Portsmouth 1, Oxford United 1. Kulusevski to the edge of the penalty area, inside left channel, looking towards Harry Kane. Just too far ahead of Harry Kane, and out it goes for a goal kick. And Wigan have got a second goal. Wigan 2, Fleetwood 0. You're up to date 5 Live.
Oh, it was really good from Kulusevski. He's on his weaker right foot, and I don't think Harry Kane thought he could pull that pass off over the top of the far fullback, centre-back. Just on his heels there, Harry Kane. It would have been a volley from about 5-6 yards.
His goals against Leeds at his goal against Leeds at the weekend means he's scored 9 goals in 9 Premier League games in Yorkshire. Only Alan Shearer has scored more in God's own country with 16. I'll pass that one on to Alan. I know it's not the Premier League tonight, but just in case that he wants to blow his own trumpet for BBC One's television coverage. I wonder if Kane will be able to find a goal here in North Yorkshire tonight, as Watmore to Jones. Still 0-0 in this FA Cup tie. There has, though, been a goal at London Road. John Murray.
And a touch of absolute class from Riyad Mahrez to open the scoring for Manchester City with an hour gone. Peterborough 0, Manchester City 1. On the right side of the box, Mahrez advancing into the penalty area, couple of step overs, and then across a packed penalty area, left foot picked out the bottom corner, the shot into the far bottom corner, and Manchester City, after a very frustrating and wasteful hour for them, now lead by 1-0.
They've won 20 of their last 23 before tonight. It's just a slender lead, but an expected one nevertheless. Still Crystal Palace 0, Stoke City 0. They'll be getting underway probably in a few minutes' time for the second half of that game at Selhurst Park that's available to watch via the red button. We were a 5-8 kickoff. The FA Cup ties staggered throughout the nights and staggered with their kickoffs too. Dyke-Steele to Jones. Burnley 0, Leicester 0 is a half-time in the Premier League at Turf Moor. Tom Gale.
Post without a shot on target, Ian, but they did have a Cornet tap-in disallowed for offside. Replays with the line drawn on screen show he was level. Overall, Leicester by far more threatening. Pope saving well from Pereira, Daka and Barnes. Sean Dyche has lost Ben Mee to injury, but as it stands, his side are moving out to the bottom 3 at half-time. Burnley 0, Leicester 0.
To be replaced by Everton in the relegation zone. McNair forward. Middlesbrough predominantly in all red, with the exception of that white band going across the front of their jerseys. And now with Crooks. Ball from Howson, reaches Watmore. Watmore right-hand side, got the shot away where the angle was tight, comes away off the shins of Davis, falls towards Winks. Harry Kane midway through his own half, out to Kulusevski. Doherty's going on ahead of him, counter-attack, Doherty is there, Lumley's come herring off his line, hasn't got there, and then Doherty places the ball over. Well, Lumley committed himself and Doherty was unable to take advantage.
Best chance of the game, and it came just as Howson committed around the halfway line, and I think Joe Lumley realised that he was on his own, particularly that, and had to go, felt like he had to go. He wasn't going to get there. Doherty forced wide on the angle, just needed it to get it over Fry, failed to do so. Well, got it over Fry, got it a long way over the goal as well, so, but by far and away the best chance in the game.
I'm aware of the goalkeepers union. I'm aware he used to be a Queen's Park Rangers teammate, but I need to put you on the spot. What was your reaction when you saw him racing off the goal line? Because if it's anything like the young boy to our right, he put his hands on his head.
Well, I was hoping for the bungee cord to kick in, but it didn't. He was coming out no matter what.
Lumley, who was booed by a section of the support at Oakwell, there will have been a few hearts and mouths at that moment, but it's still 0-0. Portsmouth 2, Oxford United 1 is the latest score in League One. Still 0-0 in this FA Cup tie, and we've got 5 minutes to go at a half-time. Howson is to take a free kick. Good 12 yards inside the Tottenham Hotspur half. Quite a high line, though, from the white shirts of Tottenham to protect Hugo Lloris. Arms aloft by Howson, right-footed, hits it, very, very deep. Doherty climbs, heads it away. Taylor out towards McNair, back inside to Tavernier, left-footed cross, whipped in, cleared on the half volley by Kane, up towards Kulusevski, but then McNair coming back, takes it away off him and passes the ball to Jones. Jones has got Crooks going forward on the right-hand side. He passes the ball back. Dyke-Steele, though, will pick out Crooks. And we're approaching 4 minutes to the half-time, and it's still 0-0.
It's been a really good game, really entertaining. Two teams trying to play football. Both got their ways about doing things. Both got their weaknesses. Both teams failing to get a shot on target yet.
As Rob says, it was by far the best moment of the game for Doherty on that right-hand side of the field. Tavernier to Watmore on the Middlesbrough left, playing from left to right. Howson inside, intercepted though by Harry Kane, and passing the ball back, played forward. Ooh, challenge from Howson. He might have got the ball, but he came through the back of Kulusevski, and the referee's given a free kick.
Yeah, it just timed that fraction a second late. He can't believe it. It feels like he won the ball because he knew what was happening. He could read it. He just couldn't get there. It's just a little bit too far away from him. Kulusevski felt that.
Darren England, who was the VAR at Wembley Stadium for the League Cup final on Sunday, he was certainly overworked, wasn't he? What was it? 4 goals that eventually had to be looked at and scrutinised by Darren England.
Do the referees get a rest after a busy day? I'm not sure what VAR counts.
No, they're all right. 2 and a bit minutes to go to half-time. Davis for Tottenham Hotspur. He was Davis just fouled by Watmore. Free kick. He was overworked himself when he was showing those 10 yellow cards the other Monday night, was it, when they played Blackburn Rovers? Tony Mowbray's side winning by a goal to 0 in the Championship. Højbjerg forward, crosses on the run from the right-hand side. Sessegnon with the downward header, strikes the back of Isaiah Jones, plays it then back towards wing. Son, edge of the area. Son to Doherty, steadies himself, shoots, right-footed and wide. Goal kick, still 0-0.
Well, he's had the 2 best chances now. It was good play. Højbjerg going down the right-hand side, creating the overload down the right. Extra man and getting the cross across, and they work it back to Doherty. Doherty, free shot on the edge of the box, and he gets that all wrong, doesn't he? Drags it. But Spurs, when they do break, they break at pace. They look dangerous.
Doesn't have particularly fond memories of the Riverside. Sent off here 4 years ago during his Wolverhampton Wanderers days, but we're approaching half-time and it's still 0-0, but it's no longer goalless at Selhurst Park. John Southall.
The first shot on target of the game and the first goal. Crystal Palace 1, Stoke City 0. Czech Kouyaté on the far post has just tucked it into the roof of the net from 6 yards out. It's just been checked, it's been given. The Premier League side, Crystal Palace, lead Stoke by a goal to 0.
And another goal at London Road. John Murray.
And Manchester City have doubled their lead. It is now Peterborough 0, Manchester City 2. It's Jack Grealish who scored this one. Just tucked it away, left side of the penalty area, under the goalkeeper. And Manchester City are on course now, very much so, for the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Peterborough 0, Manchester City 2.
You look at the makeup of the last 16, 9 Premier League sides, 6 from the Championship, and then Boreham Wood from the National League, and we'll have commentary of their game at Goodison Park on Thursday night on BBC Radio 5 Live. But we're inside the last 60 seconds, and we are none the wiser as to who will be represented by ball number 6 in that draw on Thursday night.
No, you have to say that Middlesbrough have adapted really well. Had a shaky start in the first opening few minutes, but since then held their own, played with confidence, looked to play out from the back, they've looked to play forward, they've adjusted their tactics, created problems for Tottenham, and without actually having a clear shot on goal, looked like they've threatened at times.
Just the additional 60 seconds of additional time then in this first half. Still 0-0 between Middlesbrough and Tottenham Hotspur. FA Cup. Howson coming forward. Howson enters the penalty area, looking towards Jones. And then the challenge from Romero clears. Played back by Crooks inside. Dyke-Steele to McNair. Cries of shoot. Taylor tried to feed it down the line for Paddy McNair. Tavernier hits it early and with pace to McNair, coming in off the left touchline. Now with Howson. Crooks. Is there time for Middlesbrough to fashion one last chance before referee Darren England blows his whistle? Dyke-Steele back with Crooks once again, working it back out towards Jones. Dyke-Steele, the crowd want the ball in the penalty area. Dyke-Steele to Jones. Is there an end product to this attack? Crooks. Back with Jones once again. And Son putting him under pressure, and as a result of that, the referee then will blow his whistle, and that is the half-time whistle of Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. When Howson was just running forward just moments ago, I don't know which Tottenham player it was, there was just a slight nudge, just to knock him fractionally off balance.
Yeah, he was going to pull the trigger and then realised that he's been terrific in this first half. He's read most things, he's steadied the ship when he's needed to, and then forced the play when he can. Middlesbrough take confidence from this half, just have really grown into it, and to a man, handled it well.
But the two best opportunities have fallen to Doherty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one that you're looking at saying breaking forwards, missing the target, and then the second one just had to steady himself and get shot away, and didn't really look convincing on either.
Remember, it's got to be settled on the night, but at half-time in this fifth round tie, Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Mark.
You'd say, would you, both of you, and Rob, you go first, that the game is better than the stats would suggest?
They can't be worse, can they?
Well,
no shots on target. Yeah,
yes,
no, it's been really entertaining, and you look at the way that both teams have played. They've both clearly got plans, and they're saying, well, we're going to back our strengths. Both teams have got vulnerabilities in the way that they play, so it's on an edge. It's whether teams can capitalise. What I would say for Middlesbrough, the problem that they have is Crooks is one of their main outlets, and he's been told to drift wide to create their overload. They need him to gamble and get in the box, because they're having the opportunities to cross, and they're looking up, and he's the tallest player on the pitch, but they can't cross to him because he's out wide.
Can't be in two places at the same time, can he?
Well, that's what they want.
Let's go back to Selhurst Park, where there's been another goal. Palace were one up, but now John Southall.
Crystal Palace 1, Stoke City 1. Lovely run by Sawyers down the right hand side, pulled the ball back across the 6-yard box, and there was Josh Tymon around 8 yards out, unmarked, couldn't miss, tucks it in. Game on. Didn't see this at half time. Palace 1, Stoke 1.
All to play for at Selhurst Park. You sense it's probably all over at London Road. John Murray.
Well, it probably is. Peterborough United 0, Manchester City 2, and City just with another chance with Mahrez right side of the box, but he's blasted it wide. City coming up with 2 goals in the space of 6 minutes early in the second half. The first from Mahrez, beautiful stuff from Mahrez, really cutting in from the right hand side, step overs, the left wing back Hayden Coulson backpedaling, and Mahrez actually slipped his shot between Coulson's legs and beyond the goalkeeper inside the far post. And the second goal, the 2 of the England men for Manchester City, fabulous ball from Foden on the halfway line. Grealish bursting forward, took it down and slipped it under the goalkeeper. So 2-0, but Jack Marriott, who's just come on as a substitute, has forced a save from Ederson. But yes, City with a 2-goal advantage, you'd think they will surely take their place in the quarter-finals.
Thank you very much, Sean. Let's deal with all the other games that are going on at the moment. All of these have reached half-time as well. In the Championship, goalless at Cardiff between Cardiff and Derby. It's not going to help Derby's survival bid that. If it stays that way, they would be 7 points off Reading, who are in the spot above the relegation zone. Portsmouth have turned it round at Fratton Park from 1-0 down to 2-1 up. The second goal for Danny Cowley's side scored by George Hurst, son of David Hurst, and David Hurst's former club Sheffield Wednesday are ahead at the break as well. They lead Burton by 2-1. Shrewsbury 0, leaders Rotherham 0, Wigan 2, Fleetwood 0. So Wigan would be second, 7 points behind Rotherham if those scores were to say the same. And Wycombe, who are just outside the playoffs, lead Cambridge by 2-0 at half-time. Into League Two, goalless between Bristol Rovers and Barrow. Barrow down to 10 men. Paul Simpson's Carlisle lead Rochdale by 1-0. Colchester 0, Leyton Orient 0, Crawley 0, Oldham 0, Harrogate 1, Port Vale 0. The leaders, Forest Green Rovers, are behind at Newport, and if they do lose tonight, that's 3 defeats on the spin for Rob Edwards' side. They still have a 7-point lead at the top of the division, though. Northampton lead Walsall by 1-0 at half-time. In the National League, Chesterfield 0, Notts County 1, Wrexham 2, Kings Lynn 0, so that would take Wrexham above Chesterfield into second in the National League. It's also Dagenham and Redbridge 3, Maidenhead 0. In the Scottish Championship, the leaders Arbroath lead Partick Thistle by 1-0, and in League One at half-time, it's Queen's Park 1, Peterhead 0. It's also the Coppa Italia this evening, a Milan derby in the final, and that is goalless as they approach half-time. AC Milan 0, Inter 0. So you're up to date with everything as far as the football is concerned. We'll talk boxing during half-time. But first of all, here's the latest BBC News with Dan Morton.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
US defence officials say around 80% of the Russian troops which had surrounded Ukraine ahead of the invasion are now inside it. The Ukrainian authorities say 5 people were killed when Russia attacked the main television tower in the capital, Kiev, taking some broadcasts off air. Satellite imagery suggests a stream of Russian units are heading for the city. Anthony King is a professor of war studies at Warwick University. He says President Putin will be reluctant for any siege to drag on.
A low-grade siege of the type you saw in Sarajevo with bombardments, I think, is possible. I actually think Putin will push for a quicker outcome, and therefore I think a very significant action in Kyiv and probably Kharkiv as well is very likely. And that, I think that is where one would explain the large logistical and combat arms columns that we've seen.
Well, it's feared any action to take the capital could see some intense fighting. David Sheffer, who served as the American ambassador at large for war crimes issues during the Clinton administration, believes there's little doubt some of Russia's actions in Ukraine so far amount to war crimes.
This is being recorded in real time. One doesn't know exactly until it's investigated where you identify the military commanders, who is giving orders and directions. We know that it obviously reaches all the way to Mr. Putin, but that's all part and parcel of building a case against individuals.
Here, the Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has announced a series of sanctions against military officials in Belarus for assisting Russia in its campaign. They affect 4 individuals and 2 military enterprises. The UN has launched an emergency appeal for aid to help people fleeing the conflict in Ukraine. It's aiming to raise more than £1.2 billion for shelter, medical supplies and clean water. And in other news, MPs are to get a pay rise of £2,212 next month. Both the Prime Minister and the Labour leader had argued against the increase, which is set by an independent body. It will mean an MP's basic salary goes up to £84,144 a year.
This Red Nose Day, you could be a fundraiser with the power to change lives. Like Jackie, who's putting on the glitz.
This is my 24-hour sponsored Cha-Cha-Cha-thon.
Good hip action. And then there's Paul, who's taking things a little easier.
I bought a Red Nose Day t-shirt. What do you think?
That's a good look. There are so many ways you can get involved. From a sponsored challenge to making a donation or even buying merchandise. To get your free fundraising pack, go to bbc.co.uk/rednoseday.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Arbroath have been pulled back in the Scottish Championship. Partick Thistle have equalised in that game, and Queen's Park lead Peterhead by 2 goals till now in Scottish League One. By the way, earlier I said that Milan derby was the Coppa Italia final. It's actually the first leg of the semi-final, and that is goalless at half-time. In today's other sports news, motorsport's governing body, the FIA, says it will allow Russian and Belarusian drivers and officials to compete, but in a neutral capacity. The International Paralympic Committee will decide tomorrow whether to ban Russia from the Winter Paralympics after the World Athletics Council today agreed to exclude all Russian and Belarus athletes from their events for the foreseeable future. And Russia and Belarus have also been banned from team competitions by the International Tennis Federation until further notice. On to the boxing then. Tyson Fury says his fight against Dillian Whyte next month will be the last of his career. It takes place at Wembley on April the 23rd. Host of the 5 Live Boxing podcast, Steve Bunce, joins us now. Is Fury serious?
Well, chappers, what he actually said was, this is the final fight of my career. 150 million in the bank, healthy, young, I'm going to buy a yacht abroad, I'm done. Well, all of that's true, except the part about this is the final fight of my career, to be perfectly honest with you. That's a classic boxing statement. Half of it's true, half of it isn't, and the other half it's not even worth talking about. I know that's free half, but hey ho, that's the way we deal. Well spotted, chappers.
But thanks, on my toes this evening. A lot of it does that. It does make sense though when he explains it like that. $150 million in the bank, and I'm healthy and young. What else does he want? Why won't it be his last for you?
Well, I'll tell you why it won't be his last, because there are enormous fights still out there, just on the periphery. There's still the Anthony Joshua unfinished business. There's Alexander Usyk, who could very well beat Anthony Joshua in their rematch, and if he did, that becomes a super fight. If Joshua were to win, it becomes an even bigger fight. So there's that one. That's definitely 1/2 fights, and I think that he's still young enough, he's still fresh enough that the type of money, even the type of money he's got saved and the type of money he's going to make on April the 23rd, all of that money will pale into relative insignificance if he gets rid of Dillian Whyte and let's say Joshua gets revenge over Usyk. Then we've got a fight on our hands that we can't even imagine. A fight that would generate $500 million. And I kid you not, that's not me hyping it. It would generate $500 million.
$500 million.
Let me do the jokes, chappers. You just do the football rounds up and stuff, okay? I'll help you out with the occasional joke. You know I will, son.
I know you will. I bow down to your greater jokes, as you know, Bunsey. Right. White was actually a no-show today as he chose to continue his training camp in Portugal. Now, Fury reckons it's because White is scared of meeting him face-to-face.
You're going to see a boxing masterclass. You're going to see the difference in levels. You're going to see the Ferrari racing the Vauxhall Corsa in a race. There's a gulfing difference in class here. So he has definitely shown the white flag today. All this social media stuff, I'm not promoting the fight, I'm not getting involved in mind games. You know, before I was like, you know what, when I say stuff about Dillian Whyte, he always fires back and he gets upset and he causes a bit of a ruckus. Now it's like, say what you want about the guy, call him whatever you want, he's never even going to... He's giving me that much more confidence, it's unbelievable. Oh, I don't want to go face-to-face with Tyson. Of course he don't. Because you see that fire in my eyes and you think I'm getting smashed to bits. And I don't blame him for not being here today, Frank. Because if he was here, I'd have probably stretched him at the press conference. So it's a good job he's not here, because I'd be getting remanded. But, yeah, I will make sure that people are entertained.
Why hasn't White showed up?
There's a bit of a dispute over his commitments. He finally got the money. You know, he let him walk away with 6 or 7 or 8 million quid. You know, it's a fantastic payday, career high payday. But there's some dispute over what he should do, what he traditionally should do, and what he's agreed to do, and what's in the contract and what's not in the contract. All sorts of really bright legal people are poring over it, along with lots of boxing people. So Dillian Whyte, even though he was offered a private jet from Portugal to whiz him in and out of northwest London. He said no. There's a dispute. There's lots of bad blood, and the bad blood isn't just between Dillian Whyte and the boxer. It's between Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury's promoter, and it's between Tyson Fury's promoter and Dillian Whyte, and it's between some of the people in their entourages. It's a fight with several backstories, chappers, and we might not see Dillian Whyte. We might not see Dillian Whyte until the weigh-in. I can assure you, which would be unique.
So if we didn't see him till the weigh-in, does that mean the bad blood festers and festers and festers until then, or does it keep a lid on it?
Absolutely. There's two ways to look at it. If he'd have been there today, if he'd have made a late entrance and Tyson had jumped up and the security had jumped around, this conversation would be a totally different conversation. And I think if it gets watered down, let's say he appears, I don't know, and he has a press junket out to Portugal in 5 weeks' time, I think that decreases the drama. Why not? If you said you're not going to do it, if you said you're not going to help the promotion, then don't help the promotion. Stay in Portugal, fly in on the 2 days before the fight, go to the weigh and with a pair of sunglasses on and some tape over your mouth. Just add that bit of intrigue. Can you imagine what we'll be imagining Dillian Whyte's thinking and saying, especially if he has a genuine no access to anybody, no precedent. I've tried through back channels thinking I could, I've greased enough people over the years. I've sat with enough people in enough festering pits over the years in different boxing venues thinking I've got a bit of clout. And I've been resolutely kicked into touch. I've got no chance of getting to him. I thought I might be able to pull 2 strings and I'd be on a TAP airline, floating around Lisbon, having one of those fancy custard tarts and a couple of cups of coffee and doing 2 hours with Dillian Whyte and coming back with an exclusive. No chance, chappers, no chance.
Maybe the private jet will be used to get you over at some point.
I hope so.
Thank you very much. I'll let you go back to your pit. Steve Buns, host of Five Lives Boxing podcast on the Whyte Fury fight, which is on April the 23rd. Back to the Riverside. Ian Dennis and Rob Green.
Thanks, Mark. Teams are out. Neither side has made a change. Walsall, though, just equalised it. League 2 at Sixfield. Northampton 1, Walsall 1. So the second half of this FA Cup 5th round tie is underway, with Middlesbrough at the Championship in their red shirts and red shorts, playing from right to left against Tottenham Hotspur in their white shirts and navy shorts. I'll run through the two teams after Romero has launched the ball up towards Harry Kane off his head, and Dyke Steele to bring it away for Middlesbrough, who have Joe Lumley in goal. And then you've got Dyke Steele, Fry and McNair as their 3 central defenders in a 3-5-2 formation. Jones and Taylor are the wing-backs, right and left respectively. Tavernier, Howson and Crooks in the midfield. Watmore and Sporer are the 2 up front. For Tottenham Hotspur, unchanged from the side that beat Leeds United at Ellen Road. Lloris is in goal. Romero, Dyer and Davis are the 3 at the back. Doherty and Sessegnon are the wing-backs. Højbjerg and Winks in the centre of midfield, with Kulusevski to the right, Son to the left and Kane through the middle. Middlesbrough have got an early free kick in this second half. Referees Darren England. Once again, quite a high line from Tottenham Hotspur. Howson, right-footed, floats it into the penalty area. McNair is up from the back, headed out by Højbjerg, and there was a little bit of Kulusevski being held back a little bit there, but he still manages to get the ball out to Sessegnon on the left-hand side. Davis going on ahead of him, and then the ball is played back by Sessegnon. Oldham are leading at Crawley. Could extend their unbeaten run to 7 under John Sheridan. Offside against Romero of all people, and it will be a free kick to Middlesbrough. So Crawley 0, Oldham 1. Oldham's revival, if you look at the bottom of League 2, I think something like the 6 clubs are separated by 3 points. They've brought Leyton Orient, Colchester and Barrow really into the mix there. Did an excellent job. Lumley downfield then, headed on by Crooks and stretching Sessegnon. So Rob Green, what do you think to this cup tie so far?
It's an entertaining first half, and you're looking at this second half. Middlesbrough have come out, started on the ball, started positive, looking forwards. I just wonder, as this half drags on, that they expended a lot more energy in that first half than Tottenham did, and I just feel that
that they'll need something to cling on to. I feel like they need a goal in the next 15 minutes. Otherwise, Spurs' dominance and their fitness, and also they haven't put as much into the game as Middlesbrough have. That'll start to take effect in the last half hour.
Chris Wilder did an excellent job when he was at Sheffield United. You think that they almost got into Europe for their first season back in the top flight. 1-1 away to Tottenham Hotspur, and then they actually beat Spurs under Wilder at Bramall Lane by 3-1. He did suffer a defeat the following season, and Sheffield United, of course, really did miss the presence of a crowd at Bramall Lane. Kulusevski running forward, Howson sliding in. Kulusevski does enough to get it out, and then the referees tried to let the game flow, and then Darren England has brought play back and has given a direct free kick to Tottenham Hotspur, which must be close to 25 yards out from goal.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's a good refereeing decision that Kulusevski is, in the end, trying to play the ball out wide, whilst as he's falling over, because Johnny Howson's pretty much knows all he's doing, he's bringing him down, and it's good play from Kulusevski, drew the foul. It's a dangerous position.
Crawley 1, Oldham 1. Crawley have quickly equalised. So this free kick for Tottenham Hotspur in this FA Cup tie, live on 5 Live, also available through the BBC Sounds app, is going to be left to Harry Kane. So we're talking 25 yards out. It's fractionally left of centre, but we're talking fractionally. It's at the south end of the ground. Harry Kane eyeing it up a little bit like a rugby union fullback, and then he slips, much to the amusement of the Middlesbrough crowd. That's one of those where there's no hiding place.
Needs to change his studs. He's come out with the wrong boots on. He had one in the first half, didn't he, where he slipped, and yeah, all eyes on Harry Kane there, and great hilarity in the home end.
Fired up the crowd in this sellout Riverside, where it is still 0-0. Middlesbrough playing from right to left. McNair downfield, cleared by Sessegnon, off the head then of Crooks. Dyke-Steele running back. His rude defensive frailties recently, particularly away from home. Chris Wilder, particularly at Oakwell at the weekend, but they haven't really shown too much sight of Joe Lumley's goal. Middlesbrough tonight, except when Lumley himself raced off his goal line and Doherty was unable to take advantage in that first half. So it's still 0-0, and you're still all square at Selhurst Park, John Southall.
We are. Crystal Palace 1, Stoke City 1. Great chance though for Palace a moment ago. Will Hughes on the left of the area swept it fractionally wide of the right-hand post, but arguably Stoke the better side at the moment. Palace 1, Stoke 1.
Romero stepping out of defence, forward ball. Kane forced out wide on that left-hand side, and he lets it run out of play, and it'll be a Middlesbrough throw. Newport 1, Forest Green 1. The leaders of League 2 have equalised after back-to-back defeats as well, but still 10 points clear of Northampton themselves, who are being held by Walsall tonight. Throw to Middlesbrough then. Remember, it's got to be settled here tonight. Extra time and penalties, and in fact Crawley are now turned it around at home to Oldham. Crawley 2, Oldham 1.
You put the kiss of death on them, didn't you, Denner?
He has done still a good job. There's still life with Oldham just yet. Down at the bottom, Carlisle incidentally still leading Rochdale by a goal to 0. Middlesbrough, ideally they'd be hoping to launch a promotion campaign, but as it is, they're still here battling away in the FA Cup. Appeals for a penalty there. Sessegnon on Isaiah Jones. They'll be hoping for VAR, but of course it won't happen, and instead play continues. Howson a couple of block challenges in. That looked close to the naked eye.
Sessegnon never got the right side of Jones. Watmore did brilliantly. He had 3 men around him, got bumped over in the first challenge and managed to get himself up and find it wide to Jones. And I think just more than anything, the dramatic nature of how he went down There's nothing in the contact, and Jones has thrown himself up in the air and to the ground.
Just goes to show, doesn't it? You know, the naked eye, you're thinking, I'd like to see that again, and then after seeing it again, referee Darren England absolutely spot on. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Burton 2 is the latest score in League One. Referees played the advantage. Howson out to this near side for McNair. Taylor gives the ball away. Break on for Tottenham Hotspur. Doherty, Kane up with him. Doherty, the red shirts back aplenty. Full time at London Road. John Murray.
Manchester City are the first team into the quarter-finals. They've won 2-0 here at Peterborough, currently bottom of the championship. They stepped it up in the second half, City. Goals from Mahrez and Grealish in the space of 6 minutes. It might have been a different story if Smodic had taken Peterborough's big chance just after half-time, but he didn't, and Manchester City, captained by Alexander Zinchenko, are safely through. Peterborough 0, Manchester City 2.
Sporer on the attack, wins a corner kick for Middlesbrough. Portsmouth 3, Oxford 1 is the latest score. Middlesbrough just starting to pose more of a threat than maybe they did in the first half.
Yeah, just feeling that the game in the second half had started a bit slowly, and now Middlesbrough coming to life, and just a couple of errors from Spurs at the back. This time Romero misjudging a header, allowing Sporer through. But good moments for Middlesbrough.
So a corner kick, Howson waits, shows the ball to everybody about waist height, then deliberately places the ball slowly down in the quadrant on this near side. The slow hand clap in anticipation. In comes the corner, and the header from Crooks is over the top. What a chance that was for Middlesbrough.
Well, he said he needed to get in the middle in the first half, and he just leaves Doherty for dead. About 12 yards out, a little dummy, dropped the shoulder, free header, climbed 6 yards out. He's smiling as he comes out of goal, but that was a huge chance.
The top scorer for Middlesbrough had an opportunity there to take his tally into double figures. It might be an opportunity that they could yet regret. It was one clearly off the training ground, the deliberate hold of the ball from Howson. Chris Wilder, as he turns away and holds his head in his hands, he knew.
He did well there initially because he used his teammate as a little shield and dropped his shoulder around him and he was away, but I fear that was the chance you're saying he might need in the first 15 minutes to get something in this game to hold on to. That might be it.
He got the goal for the equaliser at Old Trafford. He'd have sent the Riverside into raptures if he'd have put them ahead. Kane, meanwhile, for Tottenham Hotspur, diagonal ball, cut out by McNair. Given away. Oh, there's a covering defender. The referee's played the advantage. No, he's brought his whistle back. There was a covering defender, so this will be a yellow card. But straight away you can see Harry Kane and Harry Winks saying to Darren England to show the red card. And in fact, as a result of that, we've got a little bit of pushing and shoving there. That was Romero who I think got involved.
It's unlike him.
So Cristiano Romero has fired up this instance now with Darren England who'll have to try and sort out himself. The yellow card was shown, and I think that was the correct decision because there was a covering defender. It wasn't the denial of a goal-scoring opportunity.
No, it was deliberate. It was cynical. Knew exactly what he's doing. Gave the ball away. Felt like he didn't have an option. Harry Kane was complaining. Johnny Howson was trying to get in between Harry Kane and the referee, Darren England, just to stop him talking to the referee, getting in his ear, and Romero took exception. He seems to get involved in a lot, Romero.
Well, Darren England still hasn't finished, and Romero is going to be shown a yellow card as well. McNair deliberately bringing down Davis, but there was a covering defender. Goal at Selhurst Park, John Southall.
Crystal Palace back ahead, Palace 2, Stoke City 1. He just come on the pitch, Jairo Reid about the substitute. 14 yards out, put it into the corner. Are Palace heading to the quarters? Crystal Palace 2, Stoke City 1.
Managed, of course, by Patrick Vieira, who's won the FA Cup 5 times as a player. So Romero booked and Paddy McNair booked after all of that. Sheffield Wednesday thrown away 2-0 lead at home to Burton, now 2-2 in League One. Middlesbrough fans making the noise, but they've got to defend this free kick. It's 30 yards out from goal, it's a central position. We've been playing for nearly an hour on BBC Radio 5 Live. It's Eric Dyer. Long run up, right-footed, great save by Lumley. Goal-bound effort from Eric Dyer, right-footed. Lumley full stretch to his left, makes the save.
It just wasn't hit hard enough from distance to really trouble Joe Lumley, but excellent footwork, made clear steps across the goal line, allowed him the power into the dive, full stretch, two hands, first big save.
Booed at Barnsley at the weekend, roared at the Riverside days later as he tries to redeem himself, but the ball has gone behind for a corner, and still Tottenham Hotspur are looking for the breakthrough goal. We've been playing for nearly an hour. They're playing from left to right, they're attacking the south stand. It's Son with the corner kick, right hand side, in it comes, downward header, flicked on by Harry Kane, flags up, won't count. There's no VAR now, it's still 0-0.
He just thought, of all the things, not corner, not a set piece. And it was simple as you like, just to win the first contact at the near post. Harry Kane loses his marker, it's deemed to be offside, but I'm not sure. Harry Kane's now talking to Aaron England saying, it's not me, I'm not the one offside.
Well, if you're in the Premier League and in European competition, you're so used to VAR now, but Harry Kane can keep talking till he's blue in the face. It won't make a jot of difference.
It's tight. Dijksteel, who's in line with him, and it would be by the finest of margins if VAR were involved.
He actually did well to get into that position anyway, bearing in mind he almost had his shirt pulled off his back.
I think his argument being is, and I was that tightly marked, I couldn't have been offside.
But the flag was raised, the goal was ruled out, and if you were to walk into the Riverside now and see that south stand bouncing with the red and white flags flying, you could be thinking that Middlesbrough has just taken the lead. But as it is, it's a goal ruled out for offside and was still goalless. Colchester 0, Leyton Orient 1, vital game down at the bottom of League 2. And we're half an hour away from extra time, Rob Green.
Yeah, it's. I think I'm saying it's a big let-off. They had that big opportunity from their own corner 5 minutes ago, and that, I get a feeling that was a big turning point in the game, because if they went behind that, you wonder what they'd have left in the tank to come back into the game.
Port Vale have equalised at Harrogate. Harrogate 1, Port Vale 1. Oldham Athletic told you they'd come back. Crawley 2, Oldham 2 in League 2. We're still 0-0 in this FA Cup 5th round tie. Manchester City have already gone through. They've beaten Peterborough by 2-0. Crystal Palace are leading Stoke City by 2-1. Tomorrow night we're at Kenilworth Road. Luton Chelsea, Liverpool Norwich is on Sports Extra. Thursday night more cup action. Goodison Park, Everton against Boreham Wood. Tavernier for Middlesbrough. Over the halfway line, Sporer didn't control the ball. Højbjerg now with Harry Kane, tidied up by Isaiah Jones, all the way back to Lumley, all in yellow. Lazy swing of the right boot. Dyer, a terrific attacking header over the back of Sporer, chipped long by Howson. Watmore, a willing runner, will give chase. Romero, pen back, passes the ball forward. Doherty didn't do Lloris much any favours there. Had to be a hurried clearance from Lloris. Out of play, goes for a throw.
Well, there was one in the first half just like it, same end. There you go, Lloris this time. Joe Lumley went for the spectacular ball down the line. He just hossed it into the stand.
Taylor from the throw, round the back of Doherty. Romero comes across, wins a corner kick. Now, this will be interesting, bearing in mind the last corner from this side to the left, where Howson played it over. Who's going to keep a track on Crooks, where he probably should have at least hit the target with his header. The 6'4" bulky frame lurks inside the penalty area. Different routine this time. One bounce, now it quickly goes down into the quadrant from Howson. 2 red shirts inside the 6-yard box. Tottenham have everybody back. Howson goes towards the far post, headed out by Sessegnon. Jones plays the ball back to Dijksteel, forward of the centre circle in the Tottenham half. Diagonal ball. Reaches Watmore with his back to goal. Brings it under control. Out to Howson. Left corner of the area. Tavernier. Scuff shot. Flicked by Sporer. Crooks. Back to goal. Feeds the ball to Jones. Forces him out wide. Right-hand side. Back with Crooks once again. Middlesbrough still attacking. Championship side holding Tottenham Hotspur of the Premier League. 0-0. Under half an hour to go. Dyke Steele to Fry. Antonio Conte with a wave of the left hand with his navy blue puffer jacket down below. Doesn't want Tottenham to sit too deep. Middlesbrough urged on by this vociferous crowd. Howson steps forward, takes it away from Kulusevski. Taylor back with McNair. McNair will go forward. Taylor goes inside. Howson runs in between Kulusevski and Højbjerg. Back with Tavernier. Good football from Middlesbrough. Howson had a fine game. Nice little back heel. Ball inside by McNair. Tavernier. Championship side are playing well. Out to Crooks. Jones just in from the right touchline. Sees the space. Darts into it. Still going into the area. Foul. Free kick. Direct free kick to Middlesbrough just outside the box.
Really good pressure. Building the atmosphere up here, Middlesbrough. Feverish. Inside the Riverside. Johnny Howson's just dictating the play in there. Just getting the ball, realising when there's space, realising when he's got to play. And from there, the rest of the team are taking such confidence from it. They're surrounding this Spurs side and just probing at different angles. We'll try this angle, we'll go back the other side, try him from the right-hand side. And that's where it came from. Just a sustained pressure that Tottenham had to really feel and face.
So we've got Tavernier, we've got Howson, and we've got McNair as the three takers for this free kick. Tottenham have every white shirt in their penalty area. McNair is just walking away. Tavernier's got his back to goal. Howson played short. Howson right-footed just over the top. Out for a goal kick. Still Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham 0.
Really interesting moment in that where Johnny Howson just looking at the far post and had an overload at the far post because Tottenham had so many players on the wall. Tottenham realised and just readjusted. Opportunity was gone.
Let's get an update on that one game in the Premier League tonight at Turf Moor. Tom Gale.
Burnley 0, Leicester 0, Ian. Just over 15 to go. Brendan Rodgers wants all 3 points. A double change. Off goes Daka and Tielemans. Maddison on, along with Jamie Vardy for his first appearance since the 28th of December. It's Leicester, Burnley 0, Leicester 0.
Leicester City, by the way, who are only 6 points off the bottom three themselves. Commentary of that's on Sports Extra. Sheffield Wednesday back in front, leading Burton 3-2 in League One. 0-0 here. And we've got about 24 minutes remaining in this FA Cup tie. Dyer back with Lloris. Lloris gets it to Doherty, plays it forward, stooping to head it on was Kane, only as far as Fry. Howson again slides in. Now the ball over the top by Winks, and there was Jones. Sessegnon puts him under pressure. Eventually it reaches Lumley right on the edge of his penalty area.
It's good play from Jones. Just headed the ball through, didn't have the pace on it to get it back to Lumley. So he just had to shepherd him. Just had enough of a presence as to where all the men were, where all the moving parts were on the pitch to get it back.
If you were to try and gauge the mood of the Riverside here with the Middlesbrough supporters, you sense there is a greater belief from the home support in this second half than possibly in the first.
Yeah, I think getting through that first 15 minutes was huge. I mean, the way that the last few games have gone, the way that they started on Saturday against Barnsley. Now, they had Carlton Morris up front for Barnsley, who's no Harry Kane, and really caused them problems. And they saw through that and went, right, OK, we're in this game. Let's go and impose ourselves on the game itself. And they've done that. They've been brilliant.
Antonio Conte, penny for his thoughts down below. He won the FA Cup with Chelsea 4 years ago when they beat Manchester United. As Dale Fry, the England under-21 international, playing in the central figure of that three-man defence. Dyke Steele back to Lumley. Fry brings it forward. McNair, who's on the left-hand side down below. His left-footed ball, Watmore. I think Chris Wilder's point of view, they would have really hoped that Riley McGree, who's an Australian midfielder, who's failed a late fitness test. He missed Barnsley at the weekend because of a tight calf. Thought he might be fit for tonight, but he failed that. And also there's no Aaron Connolly as well, who failed a late test as well, on loan from Brighton. So there'd have been two players that would have really given Chris Wilder a couple of options, maybe off the bench. Not available to him. As a free kick goes in favour of Middlesbrough, just over the halfway line. And then McNair walks into Kulusevski, and tempers starting to fray again, and the referee Darren England might just have to have a word with the two players.
I think McNair just wanted a breather. Oh, I'll tell you what, I know how to do this, and a little bit of a confrontation kills the game for a couple of minutes. Kulusevski, you have to say, where are we? 68 minutes into the game, he's not really had much of a feature, has he?
No, he tends to play. He's left-footed. He always plays on the right, either that or sometimes in the 10. Kulusevski, an 18-month loan from Juventus with an option to buy. 2 goals that he scored in his previous 6 appearances. Still no Bentancur for Tottenham Hotspur, who was a permanent signing from Juve. Here is Højbjerg under pressure from Howson, who's been excellent in the midfield. Doherty out to Kulusevski. Colchester have equalised at home to Leyton Orient 1-1. Tavernier is sent forward. Romero goes with him down towards the corner flag. Tavernier, did he keep the ball in play? No. Romero, got to be careful really that he doesn't get involved in anything. He was booked earlier on, remember, which was needless really from his position. And it'll be a free kick to Tottenham Hotspur.
It's Kulusevski again on the halfway line, though.
It is a throw.
Giving it away. He just really brushed off the ball a couple of times now. I think it's only Conte. He's having a chat down here in the technical area. I think Bergwijn on the bench, he'd be an option.
Davis to Sessegnon. Forward ball. Kulusevski had actually got into a central area on that occasion. It was a pacey ball and it went whistling past him and through to Lumley. Full time now at Selhurst Park in the FA Cup. John Southall.
Crystal Palace have won it. Palace 2, Stoke City 1. Really good second half. Kouyaté put Palace ahead 8 minutes after the break. Josh Tymon equalised 5 minutes later. Both sides then had efforts cleared off the line before Jairo Riedewald on as a sub won the game. Good finish, 14 yards out, 8 minutes from time. His first in a year, only his second ever for the club, and it's put Palace into the quarter-finals. Palace 2, Stoke City 1.
So Crystal Palace joined Manchester City in the quarter-final draw that will be conducted on Thursday by the England manager Gareth Southgate, and we're still waiting to see who can get the breakthrough here at the Riverside in this game between Middlesbrough and Tottenham Hotspur. Tomorrow, don't forget, Kenilworth Road, Luton Chelsea for our next live FA Cup action, but we could be extended, Rob. Starting to think of extra time.
Yeah, you're looking at it and you think, the amount of shots. We've had the one free kick from Dyer that brought a save, and barring that, nothing. So, as Chat was saying at half-time, the stats really don't point anywhere else.
Here is Tavernier, Howson. Forward ball, Tavernier nudged it and into the path of Taylor. Back with Tavernier on the left-hand side. Taylor's gone on ahead of him. Tavernier down the line. McNair waits. Tavernier's first time cross towards the back post. It was actually well held by Lloris, wasn't it?
Yeah, backpedaling, ended up having to turn towards his own goal, but there's barely a challenge in there from a Middlesbrough player. That's the problem that they've got when they got it out wide. They can't just throw it in there.
Sessegnon, good distribution from Lloris at the back. Cross into the penalty area. Kulusevski. Taylor had to go back with him. Middlesbrough have cleared it. Højbjerg out to Doherty, near side the right, infield. Winks brings it under control, turns on the ground. Doherty. back with Højbjerg. We can hear the 4,000 or almost 4,000 contingent from North London who've made that long journey to the northeast as Dyer into the path of Davis. Cross was blocked by Jones, won't go out of play. Now it will, and in fact it will be a Middlesbrough throw. I think the home crowd have liked the application from Chris Wilder's side tonight.
Yeah, they've been terrific, haven't they? Worked so hard between them, and they've stuck to the game plan and showed the energy that they've needed, particularly pressing from the front.
There's been a goal at Turf Moor. Tom Gale.
Leicester won. The double substitution has worked. Ian Vardy wins the ball back, lays it off to Maddison, goes towards the edge of the penalty area, picks a spot, curls it into the bottom left-hand corner. Burnley 0, Leicester 1. We've got less than 8 minutes to play.
Case of as you were. Kane almost plays in Kulusevski in the penalty area. For a large part of the night, the live league table has shown that Everton win the bottom 3. Spoor is sent away, Dyer has to turn, tidies up, back to Lloris, but Burnley will remain in that bottom 3 with that scoreline, with Leicester City leading by a goal to 0. This is the FA Cup, 16 minutes of normal time remain. Here we are at the Riverside. Sheffield Wednesday now lead Burton 4-2 as Son combines and links up with Kane. Kane, right corner of the area, chips over the cross, and Jones had to come across offside against Sessegnon. Free kick to Middlesbrough. And it's Colchester 2, Leyton Orient 1. You're up to date with the goals as they go in, and Middlesbrough are going to be making a change. And we're going to be seeing, following Balogun coming on loan from Arsenal. Imagine if he was to get the winning goal. The player who's coming off is Duncan Watmore.
Hero for 2 teams in red. If he does get that winner, he'll come on up front. Watmore's run himself into the ground over the course of the 75 minutes he's been on the pitch. Balogun brings something different. He likes to drop in as a number 10, creates the options. He's confident on the ball, loves to play with it, play with tricks and little through balls. He's a very intelligent player.
Let's believe that, he's highly rated. Not really seen much of him. 4 appearances for Arsenal this season. Actually nearly joined Spurs as a boy, but instead went to Arsenal. England under-21 international. Born in New York. And he comes on for what is his 10th appearance since he arrived in the January window on loan from Arsenal. Quarter of an hour remaining, Rob.
It's a funny sort of position that he's been put in at Arsenal, that he's far too good for the under-23 level. So the only route really to get game time is to get out on loan. So it's going to be a steep learning curve in the Championship, and an even bigger one now.
Kulusevski to Doherty. Couldn't take it in his stride. Goes behind him. Throw for Middlesbrough on the halfway line in between the 2 managers. Kulusevski comes across. Free kick, I think that, isn't it?
Yep.
For on challenge on Tavernier.
He really has got a forlorn figure this second half, hasn't he? Kulusevski. I don't think he knows what's hit him, really.
So this free kick is about 6 yards in from the left touchline. Portsmouth 3, Oxford 2 is the latest score late on at Fratton Park in League One. Again, that high line of the white shirts for Tottenham Hotspur to protect Lloris, all in green. Howson actually then runs into an offside position. Stuttering run up from Tavernier. It's very, very deep, and it's caught by Lloris on the left-hand side of the penalty area. But he hangs on to the ball. The only outlet really was Kulusevski on this near right side, and in the end he just drops it short. Cardiff are leading Derby County by a goal to 0. That's the only one game in the Championship. Derby, who are 8 points adrift of Reading, behind in South Wales. Still 0-0. It was a 5-8 kickoff, and we could be having an additional 30 minutes of extra time. Kulusevski to Son. Challenged by Dyke-Steele. Helped out by Crooks. Loose ball picked up by Howson into the centre circle. Tavernier. Taylor vastly experienced coming on the overlap on this near side. Balogun dropping deep, played forward by McNair. 4 red shirts on the left-hand side. Tavernier coming out of defence to close him down was Romero. Every Spurs player back behind the ball. Certainly shown a great deal of respect to Chris Wilder's side tonight, haven't they? Down the line it goes now to Dyke-Steele, level with the penalty area. Back with Jones on the right. 12 minutes of normal time remaining. This is Fry. Howson. Across to McNair. Forward diagonal ball. Sporer lays it back to the Northern Ireland international. Tottenham are going to be making a double change. Emerson and Bergwijn are going to be coming on. Antonio Conte finally making a change. This is with Tavernier. Patient play, keeping the ball for Middlesbrough. McNair. Tavernier playing in front of Tottenham at the moment, and Tottenham are quite happy with them to have it there. Barrow, who were down to 10 men in the first half, have finally conceded. Bristol Rovers 1, Barrow 0, a latest score in League 2. Middlesbrough now give the ball away. Kane heads it forward. Very good header by Fry. Landed a tad awkwardly. Crooks to Dyke-Steele. Good cross from the right. Headed out by Dyer for Tottenham. Picked up by Howson. Probably got too much underneath the ball. And now it's Dyer stepping out of defence. Højbjerg getting himself caught there. Middlesbrough were pressing, but they played it forward to Kane. Kane trying to release it to Sessegnon. I think it was Tavernier who just got a well-timed challenge to put Kane off.
Yeah, Middlesbrough have been relentless when they've lost the ball. Kane then, Son a few moments ago. They're getting the ball and they've got 3 players around them. There's no option for them.
Here now for Tottenham is Højbjerg. Crooks snapping away. Winks helps it on. Doherty coming forward now. Over the halfway line, plays it inside. We're about to enter the last 10 minutes and we might be having extra time. Son being held a little bit there. Referee says play continues. Howson now running forward for Middlesbrough. Out to Crooks. Sporer with his back to goal. Balogun with the shot just inside the penalty area, right-footed. Couldn't keep it down, 0-0.
Never under control. Slightly behind him, slight bobble on it. Couldn't get his foot on it, couldn't get his foot over and around it, but again, just at Tottenham, just taking the ball away from Son, and they were away. And I mean, I don't know how many touches he's having in this half, Son, but him, Kulusevski, we've barely mentioned them in terms of creative influences.
Forest Green are now down to 10 men late on. They're still drawing 1-1 away at Newport County, the League 2 leaders. That's Forest Green, the League 2 leaders. Wickham 3, Cambridge 0. So Doherty has come off and Emerson has come on. So that is a like-for-like change there. And then it's Bergwijn who's come on. And it was Sessegnon who has gone off. So that's the double change made by Antonio Conte. So Son now is playing on the left. Kane and Bergwijn through the middle. And Kulusevski on the right-hand side. Dyer. There's been a late goal at Turf Moor in the Premier League. Tom Gale.
Burnley 0, Leicester 2. The points are going back to the East Midlands, Ian, and guess who? Jamie Vardy, back for his first appearance since the end of December. Cross from Barnes, tap-in header, celebrating in front of the away end. Burnley 0, Leicester 2.
Bergwijn into the penalty area, almost saw a sight of goal. Middlesbrough had enough red shirts back there to get it away. Balogun's lost the ball, free kick, foul from behind. Thought there was going to be late drama there for Bergwijn. Talking of Leicester, we know what he can do against Leicester. Talking of late goals.
Yeah, change of formation, change of shape, change of dynamic within Tottenham. They've gone to 4-2-3-1. You're looking at Bergwijn in behind Kane, all of a sudden in space, running in centrally. Kane finding him. The brilliant last-stick tackle from McNair.
So they've changed the formation now, haven't they? They're almost playing 4-2-4.
4-2-3-1, yeah. You're looking at Kulusevski on the right, Bergwijn in the middle, Son on the left. There's a 3 in between Kane. Ben Davies at left back, Dyer left centre half, Romero and Emerson Royale.
Winning start for Paul Simpson's going to continue. Carlisle United now lead Rochdale 2-0 in League 2. Under 8 minutes remaining, 0-0 here in the FA Cup 5th round. Manchester City continuing with their winning ways. They've won 21 of their last 24. as Balogun into the penalty area. Balogun with it pulled back, and then 7 yards out from goal. It's just hit anywhere by Højbjerg, out for a throw.
Tavernier was on the edge of the box, waiting for it, asking for it. Just couldn't see him. The pass wasn't on for him.
Crystal Palace are also through to the last 8 after beating Stoke City 2-1. 0-0 here between Middlesbrough and Tottenham. Tavernier back with Fry, central defender in the centre circle. Harry Kane pursuing him. Back to Tavernier, hits it low. Balogun controls the ball, plays it forward. Taylor with a little flick, didn't quite come off. Kulusevski goes inside. Højbjerg outside the centre circle, now releases Son. Dijksteel goes across towards Son. The white shirts are flooding forward. Son on the outside with the cross, looking towards Kane. And Housen, once again, sliding backwards, diverts it behind for a corner.
Yeah, been brilliant, hasn't he? And he's even more critical now, these last 7-8 minutes, because of the change of shape. He's got an extra body to contend with in there, so he's just got to be aware of what's around him, help his teammates out.
6 minutes remaining, and still yet to see a goal here at the Riverside. Tottenham Hotspur, though, have a corner kick on the left-hand side, flicked on by Eric Dyer, tumbling at the near side of the 6-yard post, couldn't keep the header quite down, it went close, and it's still 0-0.
I think he was never going to score from there. That angle, very, very difficult to get it on target and to get enough pace on the ball and keep it down. No, impossible. He punches the floor in frustration, but I think that's just really the lack of opportunities that they have had in this half.
Yeah, after that, they had the disallowed goal and Dyer from a free kick, but in open play, I can't recall much more being created by Tottenham. Crooks, referee's given a free kick, handball against Crooks. Free kick to Tottenham Hotspur, and by my watch we have 5 minutes remaining here on 5 Live. Romero, full time at Burnley, Burnley 0, Leicester City 2, so Burnley remain inside the relegation zone, and 3 precious points for Brendan Rodgers' Leicester City. This is the FA Cup, and we're inside the last 5 minutes. And Romero, he's really shanked that off his left foot. That wasn't intended to go all the way back towards Lloris. There was nobody back there. Lloris had time to pick out the forward ball. Emerson leaping. Taylor bringing it under control. Fouled by Romero, was he? Out it goes for a throw. Chris Wilder will be delighted with the way that his side have acquitted themselves tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking before the game about setting the standards and being relentless, and he'll just say to his team, this is the standard. Whatever happens in this last 5 minutes or the remainder of extra time, look, you can do it.
Here is Bergwijn. Forward ball. Harry Kane's onto this, flags up anyway. Joe Lumley actually went to challenge him with his feet. Kane is down on the floor, but the flag was raised, and it's a free kick to Middlesbrough.
It's another tight one, I'm not sure at all. It's on the cusp, and Harry Kane could see the centre-half in front of him, so he's not going to get the timing that far wrong. Joe Lumley did well to come out. Neither keeper very much to do. Hardly anything to do all game, really.
Sheffield Wednesday 5, Burton 2. 3 minutes remaining. How many? We've only had, what is it, 3 substitutes, so there won't be too much of added on time in terms of that, when you think the referees normally allow 30 seconds for each one. Sporer to Taylor. Neil Taylor inside. Tavernier. Taylor a little flat-footed. Emerson comes across. Don't think he was expecting that one, Rob.
No, he just get it in the box. Just wanted him to cross it. He's had enough out of that wing. Wasn't expecting the pass back to him. It was the right pass. Just don't think he had legs in him.
Tavernier's got legs in him. Strong running by Tavernier. Enters the penalty area. Jones, saved by Lloris. Turned behind by Dyer for a corner.
Big save. Great overlapping run. Jones just trying to feel it in the far corner. Touch was under his feet a little. Not enough power really to trouble Lloris. Got down to it. He is furious with his teammates. He's been stood around for 88 minutes. He don't have to dive now.
Corner kick to Middlesbrough, and we have just over 2 minutes remaining. There wouldn't be much time for Tottenham to respond if this was to go in. You can hear the booming sound from the claps from the Middlesbrough fans. Howson with a header, and he heads it wide. Corner kick came in, unchallenged, puts his header off target.
Tottenham players are looking around going, who's marking him? Every single one of them saying he's not my man. Well, it's got to be someone's man. They won't get a better chance. It's free header, 6 yards out. He doesn't even have to jump. He's done everything right tonight. He's got one thing wrong. It was Romero who's marking him.
Colchester 2, Leyton Orient 2 is the latest score in League 2. We're about to go into the last 60 seconds. Son sent scampering away left-hand side, quickly into the penalty area. Bergwijn in support. Son back to Kulusevski. One touch was a weak one. Flag had stayed down. Not too sure why, he just didn't put his foot through it left-footed, and it was easily saved by Lumley.
He tried to. He's just got it horribly wrong. He tried to shoot. I think it was a very tired leg. That sums up his second half, Kulusevski. But all of a sudden, Son sprung into life.
You think of the headers that Middlesbrough have had in this second half. Crooks and Howson, two great opportunities.
Yeah, and you look at the Tottenham's chances from the set pieces. For such an entertaining game, for it to be 0-0 and the best chances come from set pieces, it's quite a wonder.
They're still playing in League One. Once they're all done, we'll give you the full-time scores. It has finished in the Championship though. Cardiff City 1, Derby County 0. By my watch, we're into the last 30 seconds of the regulation 90 here at the Riverside. And unless something dramatic happens, we're going to be having an additional 30 minutes, Rob Green.
Yep, and you're looking at a team that, you know, they scored 4 against Leeds at the weekend. They scored 3 at the Etihad. Now, they're a couple of chances away from being knocked out of the cup and only having one shot on target in the whole 90. It's one that Middlesbrough, you have to really give them so much credit for.
3 minutes of added on time, which we're now playing. Still 0-0. Kane, forward ball, Winks running on this right touchline. Cross is on the run, Lumley catches it. Son was just waiting to hope that he maybe dropped it. There was going to be no spillages there. The 3 minutes of added on time has just been announced, and it urges the Middlesbrough crowd to find their voice for maybe one last opportunity. Taylor. They certainly haven't been shy in finding their voices tonight. Out of play it goes for a heavy touch from Balogun, and it'll be a Tottenham throw midway through their own half. Not much movement down below to help out Emerson. Eventually it's Højbjerg who shows himself. Howson comes across, cannons away off the shins of Højbjerg, and out for another throw on this near side that Emerson has to almost gets in the way of Chris Wilder there to take the throw, and they go back to Tottenham Hotspur.
They've had a lot of games, Tottenham. You think about the 4 away games that they've had on the bounce, and this team played a lot of minutes within that.
Jones couldn't, even with his quick legs, keep that ball in play. He's a young man, 22 years of age. The scouts from Leipzig, Arsenal, Ajax and West Ham have supposedly all been keeping an eye on the 22-year-old who only signed a 4-year deal in December. But 60 seconds remain, Rob.
Yeah, looks like a Leipzig player. He fits that mould, doesn't he? You can see why that would fit in the jigsaw.
Here is Bergwijn, out to Kulusevski. Højbjerg through the middle. The cross comes in. Son with a header. Lumley makes the save. Down at his near post. Well positioned, the goalkeeper.
It was simple, but it was really effective up until the final motion. It's Bergwijn picking up the head flick on, and Kulusevski out wide, just seeing Son. Had the free header, had the time to space to pick where he wanted to head it. He's straight at the keeper.
We're into the last 30 seconds of added on time, and it's still 0-0 on 5 Live. Balogun couldn't hold on to the ball. Fleetwood have had 2 players sent off. As Middlesbrough are coming forward, Sporer shoots and distance, drags it wide, right-footed, well off target. In fact, Wigan and Fleetwood have both had a player sent off. Wigan still lead Fleetwood by 2-0.
Pick the ball up there, it was a 4v4. Looking round, Sporer, why shoot from that distance? He had the opportunity, worked the last chance of the game, and they didn't.
So we're going to extra time because the full-time whistle has sounded, and still you cannot separate the two sides. Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Mark.
OK, we'll be back with you shortly. Let's just round up all the scores from the games that have taken place today. Crystal Palace and Manchester City both through to the FA Cup quarter-finals. Palace beating Stoke 2-1. Manchester City winning 2-0 at Peterborough, although it took them into midway into the second half for them to break the deadlock at London Road. In the Premier League, big defeat for Burnley this evening. Leicester have won at Turf Moor by 2-0. James Maddison and Jamie Vardy with the goals. So the bottom of the table stays the same. Burnley are in 18th. They've got 21 points from 25 matches. They're a point behind Everton, and Everton have a game in hand as well. They're 2 off Leeds, and Burnley have a game in hand on Leeds. That's how the battle to stay in the Premier League looks this evening. In the Championship, Cardiff beat Derby by 1-0. Derby remain next to bottom, and they are 8 points from safety this evening, and they've played a game more than Reading as well, who are that side just above the relegation zone in the Championship. In League One this evening, great game at Fratton Park. Portsmouth have beaten Oxford by 3-2. Sheffield Wednesday 5, Burton 2, Shrewsbury 0, Rotherham 0. Wigan beat Fleetwood 2-0, as Ian said there. Both sides reduced to 10 men in second half injury time. And Wycombe beat Cambridge 3-0. So the top of that table is as follows. Rotherham have 76 and Wigan have 69. Everybody's played a different number of games here. MK Dons 66, Oxford 62, Sheffield Wednesday 61 and Sunderland 59. That's the battle for the playoff places there. In League 2 this evening, it finished Bristol Rovers 1, Barrow 0, Carlisle 2, Rochdale 0, Colchester 2, Leyton Orient 2, Crawley 2, Oldham 2, Harrogate 1, Port Vale 1, Newport 1, Forest Green Rovers 1, and Northampton 1, Walsall 1. So Forest Green Rovers have 67. They've got a 10-point lead over Northampton, who have 57. Tranmere 56, Exeter 54, Sutton 54, Newport 53, and Mansfield 53. And at the bottom, Scunthorpe 23 and Oldham 31. They occupy the 2 bottom spots in League 2. In the National League this evening, Chesterfield 3, Notts County 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 3, Maidenhead 0, and Wrexham 2, Kings Lynn 0. In the Scottish Championship, Arbroath 1, Partick Thistle 1, and in League 1, Queen's Park beat Peterhead 2-1. In the Coppa Italia semi-final, they're approaching full time there, and it is goalless between AC Milan and Inter Milan. You're up to date with all the scores. Extra time beckons at the Riverside. Back to Rob Green and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Mark. Neither side has made a change at the start of extra time. So Lumley in goal for Middlesbrough, Dyke, Steele, Fry, McNair, Jones and Taylor the wing-backs, Tavernier, House and Crooks, Balogun and Sporer. I'm conscious that they may well be supporters who've been watching their side in the Football League, or indeed that one game in the Premier League, who just turned on BBC Radio 5 Live in their cars, and so that was an opportunity to run through the two teams. And for Spurs, Lloris, and then with Royal, Emerson, Romero, Dyer and Davis, the 4 at the back, and then you've got Højbjerg, Winks with Bergwijn, Kulusevski, Son and Kane. White shirts, navy shorts. Spurs in this first period of extra time are playing from right to left, and Middlesbrough in the predominantly all red are attacking the south end of the ground. It's going to be a long trip back and a late trip back for those Spurs supporters. Kulusevski shoots from distance, got it away off his favoured left foot from a central area, and it's gone behind and out for a goal kick. Spurs are saying that should have been a corner.
Yeah, good poker face from Joe Lumley. Got a touch, a good touch, and immediately turned around to get the ball for a goal kick. And Tottenham players, he's touched it. Wasn't the cleanest of strikes, but it was one that you see bubbling in the far corner. Just needed a touch to help it's on its way.
Said earlier on that he joined Spurs as a 10-year-old. He was released at 16 and joined Queen's Park Rangers, where Rob Green knows him from, as Dyke Steele on the halfway line. His forward ball cut out by Son. Tavernier, interception from Davis, who's playing as the left back. Now the break is on, and it's with Bergwijn, space to run into, central area. Out it goes to Kulusevski, right side of the penalty area, cuts in onto the left foot. Header out by Fry, headed back by Højbjerg. Son couldn't get there. Flag had stayed down as well, and Lumley picks it up, and then Lumley slips.
Keystone Cops.
It's a knockout.
It's a really good chance for Son. It's a difficult chance, but it's a free shot in the 18-yard box.
Here is Sporer on the right-hand side. Sporer with the cross. The header from Balogun. No real power on the header, and it just drops safely into the arms of Lloris, all in yellow, away towards our right-hand side.
Bergwijn's made a difference since he's come on. He's just changed it, altered the shape, and Johnny Howson, who's in that central midfield, defensive midfield role, he didn't have to look around him too much because he knew the centre-halves were going tight with either Kane or Son or Kulusevski. And now all of a sudden, because there's someone else floating around alongside him, he's having to turn his head so he can't dictate and try and nick in to get the balls into midfield. Just got to hold back. Just changes that dynamic in midfield.
Kulusevski to Winks on the halfway line for Tottenham. Remember, 2008 was the last time that they won a trophy. Højbjerg to Romero. The Tottenham supporters drowned out by the beat of the drum coming from the Middlesbrough end to our right-hand side, as Kane in a deep position hoists the ball high out onto the chest of Davis, just in from the left touchline. Kane now goes central. Bergwijn drops off. Ball though goes out towards Romero. Forward ball to that far side. Højbjerg inside to Bergwijn. Emerson, Kane. Bergwijn takes it over, enters the penalty area, surrounded by the red shirts, and then the ball swept away into the Teesside air by Lumley. The cold Teesside air. Winks passing the ball out to Emerson. Cross comes in from the right, headed out by Dyke Steele. Cushion ball inside to Davis. Davis with a shot, charged down, spins over the top of the crossbar and out for a corner kick.
It's good pressure by Spurs. They've got that Middlesbrough area surrounded. Every time they get to clear it, it's just coming back for the last 2 minutes or so. Since the restart, you have to say, Spurs have been dominant.
Son has come across to this near side to place the ball down. There are 4 waiting in the penalty area. It's taken short to Bergwijn, left side of the penalty area. Bergwijn with the cross, punched away by Lumley. Kane was in an offside position, flags raised. But Lumley still had to deal with that threat, and he did well.
No, it's a horrible ball to deal with. There's no real pace on it. You just know that any touch, when it drifts over the top of the heads, and he'll be left grasping at thin air.
There's going to be a couple of changes now being made. We're going to see Mark Bowler coming on. He hasn't played since December. And Sporer is coming off, and Josh Coburn is coming on. He's only a 19-year-old. He's a young man. A real presence about him. Signed a new contract in January to tie him down to the club until 2025. So he's come on for Sporer. Very broad shoulders with his short fair hair. And then Mark Bowler coming on, who's a former Arsenal youth player who in many ways he's had knee issues, but he's also lost his place to Taylor since Taylor was signed by the club. 24 years of age, as I say, hasn't played since December the 11th. So an opportunity for him, and he came on, and it was a like-for-like replacement, replacing Taylor on that left-hand side.
Two like-for-like swaps, and we talk about the options that they did have, Middlesbrough, and the injuries before the game, attacking options, and they're down to kids, but Chris Wilder, known for giving them a try, giving them a go.
Middlesbrough pressing Tottenham, and as a result of that, a ball that was a rather hurried one into the path of Højbjerg. Looked like he was falling over, a little bit off balance, and it ballooned away off his right boot and out for a Middlesbrough throw. In extra time on BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. Højbjerg, forward ball, Kulusevski just in from the right touchline. Tottenham playing from right to left. Bergwijn skips over the ball. Kane lets it run through to Son. 30 yards out from goal. Winks plays the ball. Intercepted though. And then Winks tries to take out Jones. But Jones has got too much pace for the England international, who is recovering well. But Jones has carried the ball into the penalty area. Right-hand side. Pulls it back. Dijksteel couldn't get there. Tavernier. Bowler. Cross comes in from the left. They were queuing up for it in the middle. And Tottenham eventually managed to get the ball away. That looked like it might have been a real promising moment for Middlesbrough.
I just needed one of them to pull the trigger, and they didn't. There's queuing up. Just take the chance. The first one was Jones, and then pass after pass. Just take responsibility. He's not going to be perfect. Just get your shots away.
Tottenham Hotspur have lost in the 5th round in the last 2 seasons. And they've got to really work hard here. They're in a real scrap in this 5th round tie at the Riverside. Emerson cuts it out for a throw. We're halfway through the first period of extra time on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tavernier's forward ball just a little bit ahead of Bowler. Out it goes for a goal kick.
McNair's evening is coming to an end. He's just signalled over. Fry's also saying hamstring's gone.
Well, that will be a concern. They've got some big games coming up as far as the playoff position is concerned. They've got Luton, who are in a good run of form. Sheffield United. Next Tuesday, the return to Bramall Lane for Chris Wilder. Here is Son. Davis going through the middle. Cut out by Jones, and then the slip once again. There's a few players who are struggling for footing at that end of the field, Rob.
Yeah, it's not a perfect pitch for the Riverside. It never has been. I've never enjoyed playing it. You can see that it's cutting up more and more as the game goes on.
Well, McNair has just gone down, and I think they want to make the change now. McNair can't continue. He's signalling to the bench to come off, as it's going to be a goal kick to Middlesbrough. Lumley passes the ball to McNair. Cold Mike won't necessarily help if it is a hamstring. McNair under pressure from Kulusevski. He's got again. He's clutching it now. He's struggling big time. Bergwijn helped out by Howson. Howson, hasn't he been brilliant in the midfield? Here he is again. Cut out by Winks. Forward ball, Fry now steps out of defence and passes the ball out towards Bowler on the left-hand side. Balogun and Coburn up in the penalty area. Balogun on loan from Arsenal with the cross. Pacey ball caught, plucked out of the air by Lloris. 5 minutes to go to half-time in extra time. And still 0-0. And Chris Wilder said he hadn't been practising penalties. They beat Manchester United at 8-7 at Old Trafford in the previous round. It might be penalties once again that determines who out of these two are going to join Manchester City and Crystal Palace, victors tonight in the last game of the FA Cup. Dyer got the ball in the challenge with Coburn. Son loses the ball in the midfield. Here is Dijksteel. Ball forward, Crooks, Balogun, Crooks making the run in behind him. Bowler is free left-hand side, scuffs his shot into the penalty area. Coburn with his back to goal, leaves it for Jones inside the penalty area. Passes the ball close, Lloris makes the save. Tavernier was making the run, almost getting on the end of it. Middlesbrough had some chances.
It was such clever play from Jones. The ball's dead, he's stopped dead by his feet, and he's just decided, tell you what, I'm going to play the slowest cross possible between my opponent's legs and feed it into the 6-yard box and ask the question, can you get there, can you make it? Just inches short.
4 minutes of this first period. And still yet to have a goal here, although both sides have had opportunities. Eric Dyer at the heart of the Tottenham defence. The 19-year-old forward, Josh Coburn, goes towards him. Romero goes square once again with Dyer, patrolling that technical area down below is Antonio Conte. Bergwijn back with Davis. Now with Dyer once again, hits a right-footed ball over the top. Son shows too much towards Jones, and Jones can bring it clear. Bergwijn loses his footing. Jones over the halfway line, a ricochet gets it back from Crooks. Middlesbrough attacking down the right. Jones spots the run of Balogun, actually bypasses him. Tavernier gets him out from underneath his feet, leaves it now for Crooks, lets it come across his body, plays it to Jones, right-hand side of the area. Ball comes in, cleared by Tottenham, comes to Howson with a shot and screws it off target, edge of the area, right-footed, out for a goal kick, still 0-0.
Oh, Middlesbrough on the front foot. You just looking at, they're looking so threatening up until the final ball, and they stop, they pause, they just don't know what to do just right now. I think they've had the attacking option changes, and they're still trying to find each other, find each other's feet, find each other's game, and just thinking, come on, just someone have a go. And Johnny Howson there says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do it. It goes wide, but at least someone had a go.
Here is Fry in the centre circle. The centre-back runs forward. He's got Bowler to his left. The substitute now is on the ball. Left-hand side level with the area. Inside, Tavernier with the cross. Davies hasn't dealt with it. Comes to Jones, right-hand side of the area. Clips the ball back in. Played in. Saved at his near post by Lloris. From Tavernier, threat remains. Skied by Crooks just inside the penalty area. Very big save by Lloris at his near post.
It's all Middlesbrough. Tottenham are stretched all over the place. They have no answers here. And it's just a case of whether they can take one of these chances. They won't get better ones than this. It's a great save from Lloris. Just managing to adjust his feet and get the block away using his legs.
Tottenham Hotspur are going to have to dig deep, because Middlesbrough are really applying pressure, and Lloris with a very, very big save at his near post. I think it was with his legs in the end, now he kept it out. Tottenham are going to be making another change down below. We're approaching the last 60 seconds of the first period of extra time. Dijksteel, Balogun with a back heel, Jones back inside, Dijksteel in the penalty area, Romero comes across, and it runs behind for a corner. The Middlesbrough fans believe inside the Riverside.
Well, if you didn't know this was a Chris Wilder team, you do now. You're in the last minute of the first period of extra time, and the centre half is doing an underlap into the penalty area. It's got Chris Wilder written all over it.
We saw his Sheffield United side in the Premier League, and now against Premier League opposition, here his Middlesbrough team are providing a really stern test for Tottenham. 0-0. Referee Darren England just making sure 1 minute added on time in this first period of extra time. Corner kick to Middlesbrough. Tavernier, low and high, and then in the end it's caught by Lloris. He bowls the ball out. Middlesbrough have got to get back. Double change in the offing for Tottenham. What a challenge that was from Jones coming across, and Emerson had to make it.
Any poor touch from this Spurs team, of which there's been a few tonight, Middlesbrough have been on them to a man. They have swarmed all over them when they've had the opportunity. They've worked so hard. It's wondering how long they'd last. Well, they're still going.
Bergwijn out to Kulusevski. Tottenham enter the penalty area. Kulusevski! Oh, what a save that was by Lumley. Because the fancy flick inside the 6-yard area by Son, actually I thought had gone past Lumley, and he quickly dived down behind himself, swiveled, and prevented it from going over the goal line.
Oh, he knew nothing about that. He's just an instinct, a reaction. It's a brilliant flick from Salt. Round the back of himself. Joe Lumley, just one of his long limbs down by his ankles, managed to get a hand on it and keep it out. It's a great save at the end of this first period.
Don't shatter the myth of the goalkeepers union. Half-time and extra time, Mark, 0-0.
I was going to say, Rob, if either me or Ian had said that, you'd have properly jumped on us.
Oh, it's only because I know him. If it was any other keeper other than Joe, no, it's a great save, and one that, you know what, he's as Steno has been saying, he's been getting some stick, but that's a big moment in this game, because they really have been pressing in that last 10 minutes, and would have been a proper body blow to concede there.
He's had a good night, hasn't he?
They all have. They've all been, to a man, been brilliant. And you know what, it feels like you're being demeaning towards a championship team, because, you know, they're up against Tottenham. Everyone knows the Tottenham players. But at the start of the game, we thought, look, if they see this first 15, 20 minutes through, they'll be okay. And they've been more than okay. They've been a match, and they've had the chances. And just that last ball, that last moment, that's all that's been missing.
I mean, what it sounded like, particularly in that first half of extra time, Ian, is that Tottenham were on the ropes a bit.
Well, I think they were. I mean, Middlesbrough have had some chances here, Rob.
Yeah, they've been overrun. They've been overrun by the Middlesbrough players, but because they've come from all angles. They've got Dyche still coming on from centre half. They've got the wing backs overlapping the centre half, who's underlapping, and they're looking around at each other going, well, hold on a minute, where are we supposed to be coming from?
And is that a result of Tottenham going to 4 at the back?
I think that's one of the consequences. Yes, Bergwijn's been in there as an option going forwards, but then all of a sudden, when they've committed bodies forwards, they've only got Winks and Højbjerg in the middle, and it's been too much for them to handle.
Mind you, they had chances in the second half of normal time as well, did Middlesbrough. There was a very, very good header that Crooks had from a corner that he probably will think he should have scored from. All to play for in this second half of extra time then. Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham 0. All yours, Ian.
Thank you, Mark. Tottenham have made a change. Kulusevski has gone off, and Reguilon has come on to replace him. And Middlesbrough have made a change as well. Lee Peltier has come on, and it's Paddy McNair who has gone off. We saw that McNair was clearly struggling with what looked like a hamstring injury. So Middlesbrough 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Darren England gets the game back underway, and the second period of extra time starts on BBC Radio 5 Live. Goalless between the two. Middlesbrough then predominantly in red, playing from right to left against Tottenham in their white shirts and navy shorts, who are attacking in this second period of extra time from left to right. Tottenham supporters will not be wanting a penalty shootout. They've lost 2 FA Cup penalty shootouts to Norwich and Nottingham Forest. Both, incidentally, were at the 5th round stage as well in 2010 and 1996. And they're hoping to avoid a 3rd successive exit at this stage after losing to Everton in last year's competition after that shootout defeat to Norwich the previous year. But still, almost, well, it'll be 2 hours of football, won't it, by the time we come to the end of extra time. Both sides have had opportunities, but we're still locked at a stalemate here at the Riverside. Headed on by Crooks, headed forward by Dyer. Howson lifts it downfield. Balogun on the Middlesbrough right. Coburn to Crooks, back to Coburn. Coburn in the area! What a finish by Josh Coburn, the teenager! He absolutely hammered the ball past the race, and Middlesbrough are at it again. To the delight of the Riverside, it's Middlesbrough 1, Tottenham 0. What a moment! He can't believe it, the youngster. The look on his face, sheer delight. He's hammered it past the World Cup winner, potentially for the winner, and they've deserved it. And it's brilliant football again. And it's Emerson Royale on the far side. He's playing them all onside. Coburn's offside. He's not on his own. Balogun's offside as well. But Royale is playing him on. The decision is spot on. He's on the angle. It doesn't matter who's in goal. He's just powered it home. Now they've got something to hold on to.
What a strike from Josh Coburn. He scored as a substitute on his home debut against Sheffield Wednesday in April of last year. It's only the 5th goal in his fledgling career, and it is a goal that he will remember forever, and it's a goal they could talk about at Middlesbrough for many years to come. Son, meanwhile, in the penalty area, Son, saved by Lumley, and Dyke-Steele clears. It was hit and some. Lloris stood no chance.
It was a brilliant finish. I mean, from any player in the world, from that angle, just put your head down and put your laces through it. It's a great moment. I was going to say that Tottenham, an admission from the first period of extra time that they weren't competing. They'd gone back to their 3-4-3. But then, before we had the chance, what a goal.
Reguilon now for Tottenham. Davis forward ball cut out by Dyke-Steele. Hesitation in the Middlesbrough defence. Højbjerg chips it forward. Lumley challenged by Kane. Lumley bravely down on the feet then of Emerson. Lumley's actually reacted there to Emerson. I think he thought that he'd gone in unfairly, but he wasn't going to shirk the aerial challenge initially from Harry Kane.
No, it had to come. Harry Kane was lurking and drifted in behind. You just feel that there's still 11 minutes to go, and Middlesbrough all of a sudden, Peltier, one of the more experienced players, is in there saying, let's all just calm down, take stock. When you just want a few calm heads in there now, because what you don't want to do is all of a sudden freeze and second guess yourself, because obviously not being in this position of being in the lead, it's a different game all of a sudden.
The Riverside is rocking. Middlesbrough lead 1-0 against Tottenham Hotspur, and Josh Coburn, who comes from North Yorkshire, I'll know him well in Bedale, in his primary school, where he actually opened up a new playing surface alongside the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak. Well, I think they might start to know him beyond Bedale. He's going to be a household name if it's his goal that knocks out Tottenham Hotspur. 1-0 to the Championship side. Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker, of course, with the BBC One coverage. They will have been proud of that finish from Josh Coburn. 4th goal of the season. Only his 5th goal for the club. What a story. Dyke-Steele takes it away off the toes of Son. Free kick in favour of Middlesbrough. And we're inside the last 10 minutes of extra time. The TV coverage, by the way, is now incidentally on BBC Two, obviously because of the news and the situation in Ukraine. BBC Radio 5 Live here at the Riverside.
Well, there's a few animated players in white now. The Tottenham players are getting more and more frustrated. I think really, looking at it, that Son's had the chances, but just barely created, haven't created nearly enough in this game. to say that of all the attacking options that they do have,
Howson lifts it forward and out it goes for a throw. Tottenham Hotspur, 8 times winners of the FA Cup. Last though was back in 1991. It's just gone almost 14 years to the day since their last trophy. As Balogun inside the penalty area, back with Bowler, Middlesbrough, Howson, and then Peltier with a back pass all the way to Lumley, and Lumley hits it long downfield for Middlesbrough. Time ticking away for Tottenham. 8 minutes remain of extra time. Højbjerg, Romero, Scarlett's going to be coming on for Tottenham. Dane Scarlett, their own teenage forward, to try and salvage this situation. Helped on all the way through to Lumley, the England under-19 international, who Mourinho described as a diamond and somebody with immense talent. Well, he's going to have to try and summon up something of that with 7 minutes remaining here, because Tottenham Hotspur are facing another season without silverware.
Well, they haven't come up with an answer at all, really. They had that initial chance from Son, went after immediately after conceding, but since then it's gone very, very flat, and that suits Middlesbrough down to the ground.
I was actually speaking to a Tottenham fan this morning, and as Balogun holds on to the ball, and I said it would be so like Tottenham to lose this game. However, I wasn't taking into consideration the application and the style of football from Middlesbrough, because they've been brilliant at Middlesbrough. Crooks, right-hand side, back to Jones, keeping the ball. Dijksteel running forward, still trying to commit red shirts forward. Excellent sliding challenge by Crook. The levels of desire. He's flat out on his feet. Dijksteel. That's a central defender, by the way, who's midway through the Tottenham half. Got to admire Chris Wilder and his style as a manager. Played forward by Lumley. Scarlett still waiting to come on. Coburn trying shoulder to shoulder with Emerson. Emerson holds off the teenager and brings the ball away. Under 6 minutes remaining of extra time. Middlesbrough lead by 1-0. Finalists of 1997 haven't been in the quarter-finals for 5 years. Bergwijn, that year they lost to Manchester City. City are already through to the last 8, as are Crystal Palace. Howson clears. Anywhere will do for Middlesbrough. And now we're going to see Scarlett come on for only his 10th appearance. And the player who's going to make way is Ben Davies.
Well, defender off, attacker on. It's a clear sign of the time and the measures that Tottenham need now. As they're saying, they've barely created anything since conceding. There's still bodies on the pitch. Crooks has gone down again after that tackle. Tracking back on Son.
Physio's going to come on. Just trying to think the substitutions. Peltier, Bowler, Coburn, Balogun. So that's 4. So they could use one more, couldn't they? In extra time. But Crooks has run himself into the ground.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and you go on about how good the whole team have been, and Crooks has been an integral part of that. But he's got an interesting role in the side, that sometimes he goes very high and creates a physical presence, and then sometimes in his right side midfield role he drops back in and allows Dijksteel to make those runs just to create a different option, a different angle. And it's something that works so well for them, because Dijksteel's got the options of going forwards and Crooks got the intelligence to do that.
Crooks at the time being, he's on his feet, but he's going off on the other side. Middlesbrough are taking on lots of liquid refreshment in this enforced break. The Tottenham bench are complaining to the fourth official. I think they want play back underway before Crooks comes back on to the field of play, and he hobbles on. 3 and a bit minutes remain. BBC Radio 5 Live here at the Riverside, where Middlesbrough are leading Tottenham. Emerson just in from the right touchline. Scarlett takes it down towards the corner flag, loses out in the challenge. Ball played forward to Balogun, hits it early, hits it low. Coburn was the willing runner, but it was always going away out, and it goes out for a throw.
It's not a bad option. If you're going to go wrong, get it wrong long, and get it long off the pitch.
Middlesbrough are making a change, and it's going to be Sol Bamba who's going to be coming on. Crooks cannot continue anymore. He gets a standing ovation, and the 37-year-old defender Sol Bamba coming on just to try and shore things up for the last 2 minutes. No, Crooks is staying on. They're changing it. It's Howson who's coming off. Well, he'll get a standing ovation because he's been excellent.
They both have. I think it's a case of who's the wounded soldier more. Johnny Howson's run himself into the ground, and you couldn't get someone any more experienced to slide into that middle of the defensive line.
So Bamba is at the back alongside Dyke Steele, Fry and Peltier. It's almost 6 red shirts at the back now for Middlesbrough in these closing stages. Under 2 minutes of extra time remain, and Middlesbrough still lead 1-0. Winks out to Reguilon, midway through the Middlesbrough half. Back with Winks, forward ball, Fry heads it away, helped further away by Marcus Tavernier. Winks picks it up. Middlesbrough supporters trying to see the Middlesbrough players over the line. Fry heads it away. Spurs get a throw, left-hand side. The last 60 seconds of extra time. Every outfield player is in the Middlesbrough half towards our right-hand side. Emerson. Dyer has stayed forward now. Dyer's low ball. Samba extends himself and turns it behind for a corner kick to Spurs.
Brilliant interception, brilliant block. Just half a yard left open. Harry Kane's waiting 6 yards out. This is it. This is the game.
30 seconds by my watch of extra time. Corner kick to Tottenham Hotspur, playing from left to right, near side the right. Son to take it. Oh, it almost went in. It was Dyer with a flick. They're saying that it crossed the line, and it was Lumley somehow managing to claw it away.
Oh, that's a brilliant save. It's Dyer with the flick. It's close range, and then a deflection as well to take it back down into his near post. Just enough on it, down to his left, chop his legs away.
For somebody who was booed at the weekend, he has certainly redeemed himself with some important saves tonight. Another corner kick for Tottenham. Son to take it. Repelled by Middlesbrough. 3 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. Middlesbrough thought they were going to get the throw in. Instead, it's gone to Tottenham. Chris Wilder is well out of his technical area. He's been told to come back. You'll need a strong leash to rein him in tonight. Goes forward, headed on by Harry Kane, headed away by Peltier. Coburn's back there helping out. Breaks on for Middlesbrough. It's 4 against 2. Here is Balogun. Coburn's up with him. Balogun's going alone. Coburn sliding in, couldn't get the touch. Out it goes for a goal kick. 1-0 Middlesbrough.
Well, that was the chance to finish it. Balogun did everything, worked it across. Coburn was an inch, less than an inch away from an incredible double.
That would have sealed it. The Middlesbrough fans are ready to celebrate. A sellout crowd. Empty red seats starting to appear in the Tottenham away section on that far side. Chris Wilder, he's won his last 7 at home. They're pushing for promotion via the playoffs. He's about to take Middlesbrough into the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Unless Tottenham Hotspur in the next 70 seconds can get an equaliser. Dyer bundled off the ball. Hit long. Coburn's onside. Lloris is out of his goal. Handball by Lloris. No, I thought it was. Lloris hits it long. He was well out. He was midway through his own half. Did you think he'd handled it?
It was a great header. A brilliant reaction. He's headed it from a yard away from Coburn. He's done so well to flick it over his head, or into his head, and he just reacted to get the header down, but then launched it straight to the opposite number at the other end.
Lumley is hanging on to the ball. Harry Kane cuts a frustrated figure. You won't hear the final whistle on 5 Live. The roar will tell you when Darren England blows his whistle. Indeed, you'll hear the roar all over England. Such will be the noise inside the Riverside. Dyke-Steele with a challenge. Winks hits it downfield. Bamba, shoring up the defence, clears it away. There is the roar. And Middlesbrough, through teenager Josh Coburn, are into the quarter-finals for the first time in 5 years. And Tottenham Hotspur, for a 3rd successive season, are out at the 5th round stage. They're celebrating on Teesside.
Brilliant performance, a brilliant atmosphere, and what a moment for the youngster. Something that will live with him for the rest of his life. The Riverside is jumping, and to a man, they have deserved it.
Mark, brilliant scenes inside the Riverside. Few youngsters coming onto the pitch, all good-natured. The Tottenham supporters going over to acknowledge the travelling support. Nearly 4,000 fans from Tottenham. But it's the Championship side who've claimed another Premier League scalp. Manchester United at Old Trafford, and now Tottenham Hotspur here at the Riverside.
This is what it's about, isn't it, Rob Green? A full house, a lower league side, albeit a Championship side, knocking out a Premier League side with the goal scored by a teenager. I mean, this is why we're all in football, apart unless you're a Tottenham fan, obviously.
Or Tottenhm. Oh, unless you're Conte. I think you look at it, and he would have gone to bed last night dreaming of that, wouldn't he? And it's cheesy, and it is in the stars, and that sort of thing. But that's the FA Cup. And I'd say, well, after the first 15 minutes, and we thought, if they're not passive, if they show that they can be aggressive on the ball and off the ball, because that's when they cause themselves problems, they can match teams. We saw it at Old Trafford. They did it today. They've been backed all the way by this full house. And it's been an amazing performance to a man, to the manager. Everybody in the side really has pulled this one out of the bag. It's been a fantastic evening.
But Ian, you know this club well. This is what this club can be, to be honest with you. And for so many years, you know, you see highlights of them in the Championship, and it's half full, and everything has felt really flat at times around Middlesbrough, and yet we talk pre-match about it, and you can feel it now that there is an energy with Chris Wilder in charge about this club.
Yeah, they've had some real difficulties with financial fair play. I know when Tony Pulis was the manager, there had to be a lot of cost-cutting that had gone on. They've had to really, you know, this is a side that even when with Tony were there, he almost got them into the playoffs. And they are a side that have got to do some things differently because they don't have the benefactors to throw money at it. So they've got to look at it in a different way. And they've appointed a manager in Chris Wilder who he gets it. and they've got some talented players. He, I think, believes that it might take 3 or 4 transfer windows to get it perfectly right, but they're knocking on the door of the playoff picture. They've got a chairman, Steve Gibson, who is lauded in these parts, and they've got a group of players that have turned the Riverside into a really, really difficult venue to get a result. 8 successive wins now, and I do believe as well they've got a manager. You know, we laud people such as Marcelo Bielsa. England have got a very special manager in Chris Wilder. He's had success wherever he's been, and I think that he's proving it here once again how good a manager he is at the Riverside.
Well, the coach's voice, Rob, put this stat out. Since the start of the 2019-20 season, Chris Wilder has now beaten Unai Emery, Graham Potter, David Moyes, Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Ralph Rangnick, and now Antonio Conte.
Not bad. No, and you have to say that each time that they've done that, whether it's at Sheffield United or here, they've deserved it. And you're looking at the performance tonight and the way that they play and the way that Chris Wilder gets them to play is such a style. And he has not changed the formation of the team one jot since being here. And he did the same for a long, long time at Sheffield United, and everybody knows their roles. And that's something you say, I believe in something in such a strong way, in such a passionate way, that the team start to believe in it. And you look around tonight and think maybe some people might come back again for their next home game. The crowds that are missing, and they start that ball rolling again up at Middlesbrough, because coming here as a away play, it's a tough place to come when it's a full house.
And that's the point that we made again, isn't it? Pre-match, Rob. You know, get it right in the cup. It can give you momentum in so many different ways.
Absolutely. And I think on the pitch, you turn around. Chris Wilder was saying with 5 minutes to go in normal time, you're saying, well, this should give them belief regardless of the outcome. Now, even greater belief. And yeah, you turn around and say, well, there's not the benefactor here, and there's not the money that there once was. Well, actually, if you get this full and jumping every week, then all of a sudden you get the benefits of that, and it is that snowball effect. And it's been a brilliant evening, and the team will want more. The fans who went to Old Trafford have come here and wanted more, and hopefully for them they'll start coming back in the league and expecting more, because Chris Wilder said it, I expect more.
I've seen some Tottenham fans who I know doing that thing that you do when your team goes out of the cup, where you go, well, at least it saves us losing to our big rivals in the day. So I've seen some go, well, at least it saves us losing to Chelsea later on in the FA Cup. But I heard Danny Murphy say on the TV commentary, a quote from him going, they never look to impose their authority on Middlesbrough. They never really gave it a go against them.
They started well, and I don't know whether they did it in such a way on Saturday against Leeds, where they were so clinical that they were 3 up in no time. And then for a large portion of the game, they just sat there in their shape and went, well, we'll just rely on breaking and being lethal on the break, which they did to good effect against Man City. They did to great effect against Leeds. And they said, well, we'll just do that again. And they got lulled into that. They did it for 10-15 minutes here, and you thought, oh, hold on a minute, this could be tough for Middlesbrough. And then stopped. And they just went, and there was a period in the first half, again, where they just sat in their shape. You go, you're the better side. You've got better players. You should not be sat there in a defensive, passive state. You look at this Middlesbrough team, they didn't do that. They gambled, they went toe-to-toe, and they came off the better for it.
Chris Wilder should probably allow himself a celebratory drink tonight, Ian.
I think he will, yes. I think there's every chance that might well be happening, Mark.
I think Dano will be with him.
Look, Dano needs to go and protect his voice by the sounds of it. He's given it some welly this evening. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, Ian, as well. Crystal Palace and Manchester City also going through in the Cup this evening. Burnley losing at home to Leicester in the Premier League. Reaction to all of those games on the Football Daily Pod, and also throughout the evening, I would imagine throughout the night during Colin's show, and he's here now.
I don't think Chris Wilder needs to win to have a pint, knowing him. At the end of the day, I think he'd look at the result either way, knowing Chris, and say, do you know what this calls for? It calls for a drink. And I say that with a little bit of experience.
Maybe this one calls for a second drink.
Yeah, I think that's true. Did you ever go to Bramall Lane when Sheffield United were in the Premier League?
Yeah.
And it's like going to a League One club. And I mean that as in they never had the airs and graces. They welcomed you in the same way they did when you were covering them in the Championship, Yeah. And Chris, you just would walk straight into Chris's, had this little, I love to call it an office, but it definitely looked more like a bar at Bramall Lane. And there was this just like a wall of sort of red wine, that is just brilliant stuff. So welcoming, so family.
Like Jack and Vera. A bit like Jack and Vera used to have in the corner of their house
exactly.
in Corrie.
But he'll have that going. He'll have that community going already at Borough,
Absolutely.
And he's been so exciting to watch in the Championship. Listen, no team doesn't have a couple of up and downs, but across the board, since he's came in, you just don't want to play them. So yeah, wonderful stuff from them tonight. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
Nice
Thank you.
All right, talk to you later.
As sports fans, we have a midnight meets tonight that will definitely prick your interest. I'll tell you all about it after we get the latest news in sport now with Jordan Elgett.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Colin. Ukraine's President Zelensky and President Biden have spoken by phone. The two leaders agreed on the need to stop what they called the Russian aggressor as soon as possible. They also discussed sanctions against Russia and Western military aid for Ukraine. Ukraine says Russia has attacked the main television tower in the capital, Kyiv, leaving 5 people dead. A nearby memorial to the victims of the Holocaust was damaged, and some broadcasts were taken off air, but the tower is still standing. The Ukrainian foreign minister says China, a key Russian ally, has offered to help mediate a ceasefire with Moscow. He said he had a constructive telephone discussion with his Chinese counterpart. And the government is carrying out an urgent review of the exposure of retail energy companies in the UK to Russia. It's understood it's looking at the gas imports which the UK receives from Russia. Ukraine's Alina Svitolina will face Russia's Anastasia Potapova at the Monterrey Open tonight. Svitolina said yesterday that she wouldn't face Russian or Belarusian players until they were classed as neutral athletes. The WTA and ATP have today confirmed that players from those countries can now only compete as neutral athletes. Motorsport's governing body, the FIA, will also allow Russian and Belarusian competitors to take part in international events in a neutral capacity. That means Russian driver Nikita Mazepin can race in Formula One this season with the Haas team. Ukraine international Alexander Zinchenko captained Manchester City as they won 2-0 at Peterborough United in the FA Cup 5th round. The big upset of the night has come at the Riverside, where Middlesbrough have beaten Spurs 1-0. Teenager Josh Coburn scoring the only goal in extra time, earning them a spot in the quarter-finals. Crystal Palace are also through after beating Stoke 2-1. In tonight's only Premier League game, Leicester won 2-0 at Burnley. And boxing heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury says he'll retire after the defence of his WBC title against Dillian Whyte in April.